Introducing TrueDisc, an innovative new scorekeeping app for your smartphone. TrueDisc ensures that you get the most accurate data possible at all times. Not sure if you walked a little bit too far when you measured your last throw? TrueDisc stamps every misrepresented throw with our trademarked Internet Distance badge before you can share it to social media. Buy TrueDisc in the App Store or Google Play for just 4 easy payments of $19.99 plus shipping and handling. But wait, there's more. Call in the next 20 minutes and upgrade to TrueDisc Pro for free. TrueDisc Pro allows you to get honest advice from the AI Pro of your choice.
Hey, Germ, think I can make it over the pond?
Yeah, sure, Simon. Go for it.
I'm Andrew.
You know what? Go for it, but go for it with a Big Germ Thunderbird. That way you can buy another one after you throw this in the water.
Paige, should I throw a putter or a mid-range here?
So what is going to give me the most confidence to hit the gap? Will it be the soft beat of a putter? Will it be the sharper edge of a mid-range? Everyone was cheering Muggs at Smugs. Man, it was so awesome. One of the best moments of my life.
Paige, I'm gonna go ahead and throw.
Hey, Eric, should I throw a felon here?
Felons are awesome!
Well, yeah, but I mean, is it the right disc for the shot?
Felons are awesome!
All right! Hannah, what did I get there?
You got a 7, Dave.
Put me down for a 5.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Go to udisc.com and use the code TrueDisc to get the real UDisc Pro free for 1 month.
I practice a lot. It's a vice. An escape from stress, from work. It's my chance to just get away during the week. It's like meeting up with an old friend, you know? I'll never get tired of that sound.
It's only mid-August. There's still plenty of the season left to track down signature wins and create memories, and yet this week ushers in an air of finality. It's the culmination of countless hours on the practice basket and endless miles on the road. A chance to put behind a year of frustrations and what could have beens. And for 2 players, a chance to wake up from a dream by turning it into reality. We're here in Illinois for the PDGA Professional Disc Golf World Championships, where Peoria is the playground for those who want to make history. Heading the pack of contenders leading into this 5-round marathon are none other than 2 players seeking world title number 5, Paige Pierce and Paul McBeth. Pierce has been unstoppable since June, winning her last 8 starts. It isn't just recent success driving Pierce's run this week. She came up short last year in Vermont, and now she's more determined than ever to come out on top.
There's been a lot of different feelings as, 360-ish days have gone by, and, started out obviously like heartbreak and just kind of like trying to be critical of what happened, what went wrong, or just kind of like steps that I could take to make sure that I don't have a disappointment like that again. And
while it's only been a year since Pierce has taken home a title, it's been 3 for McBeth, who hasn't stood atop the podium since 2015 in Pittsburgh. But the highest rated player in the sport is the odds-on favorite, especially after a stunning comeback win at last month's European Open.
I just want to win this week. I think it's a great fitting tournament for me. The courses fit very well. I think Northwood is playing extremely well to my game. It's funny, I think a lot of the Worlds that I have won have been on wooded type courses.
With all the focus on the sport's 2 most dominant figures, it means the reigning champions rate as relative underdogs. Gregg Barsby wouldn't have it any other way.
It's nothing new to me being an underdog. That's just part of the gig. But like, somebody not talking about me doesn't change anything. I'm gonna go out here and do what I do.
And for Paige Bierkes, it's an opportunity to prove to many, including herself, that she truly belongs among the sport's elite women's athletes.
I mean, I'd love to defend the title, and one thing that I think puts the most pressure is that I could be 2 in a row, right? And Paige and Kat, you know, people I look up to the most and, you know, the best in our sport, haven't won back-to-back ever. So I do have this really cool opportunities.
The venue this week here in Peoria features 2 known commodities. The OB-laden Eureka Lake and picturesque Sunset Hills headline the annual Ledgestone Insurance Open, which Pierce and Macbeth both won in June. That leaves the newly redesigned Northwood Park as the wild card. A 9,299-foot wooded terror for the MPO field, and a similarly scary 7,677 for the women, Northwood's narrow fairways and fearsome par 5s help it serve as a useful foil to Worlds' 2 more open courses.
It's a good mixture of they got some open holes, low ceilings, and they got the really long wooded holes. Yeah, I think I've been talking about it a lot because it's actually challenging. I don't feel like a lot of the courses we play nowadays are challenging in that way. So I think that's what excites me the most is it's actually a challenge or it's really just a puzzle that I have to figure out.
Meanwhile, the defending champs think Northwood provides them a chance to build their case for the repeat.
I'm looking forward to the tight fairways. You know, I think anybody can throw in a wide open shot, but the best can hit a line and execute, you know, the tunnel shot or the tight shot or going around this tree or that tree.
This course in particular, I'm just going to be going for placement shots and, you know, trying to stay clean. It's the tree kicks that will get you in a lot of trouble, so just one shot at a time, try not to get too far ahead of myself.
That doesn't mean we can forget about the other contenders this week, like 2-time world champion Ricky Wasaki, who's coming off a neck injury, and 21-year-old Eagle McMahon, who dropped after the first round of this year's Ledgestone with an injury of his own. And what to make of Josh Anthon, the 2017 Ledgestone champ and 4-time Pro Worlds runner-up, or FPO mainstay Katrina Allen, and a handful of top European talent. Whoever it is that adds an X next to their signature this week, you'll be able to see it all take place with a wide array of media on site. Head to PDGA.com for all the details, and stay tuned until we crown a new PDGA World Champion.
SmashBoxxTV would like to thank the following sponsors: the PDGA, Infinite Discs, Discraft, the DGA, Prodigy Discs, the City of Peoria, and all of these other generous sponsors.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2019 PDGA Professional World Championships. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, alongside Robert McCall. Hello. Robert, everybody is stoked. We've seen some great golf already unfolding here in the opening day here at the World Championships on both the FPO and the MPO side. And today we're here with our feature card and ready to kick off the day. How are you feeling?
I am ecstatic to be here. Anytime I get to sit next to you, man. But 100% honestly, I am so excited about this World Championship. I feel like there are so many storylines at play. Paul Macbeth switching sponsors and having a dominant year. Is this the year he finally breaks back in and wins his 5th World Championship? So on the men's side, we've got that. And then we've got a lot of challengers who want to dethrone him from that spot. You know, you think of Wysocki, who's hungry after losing out last year. Kevin Jones on the up and up. And then some people that we might not have thought of a whole lot, including our clubhouse leader, Emerson Keith, right now, coming in with a 12 under par, just shredding out there at Lake Eureka. Then on the women's side, Evelina coming out of the gates, just firing, shooting a 7 under at Northwood. That was my first time to look at that course. Beautiful course that I think is going to test our competitors throughout the week in a different way than Eureka and Sunset will.
Well, and it's very early, of course, but interesting to see. Paige Pierce, last time I checked, wasn't even in the top 10 on the FPO side. Clearly an anomaly for Paige Pierce. So we're going to continue to watch that. Meanwhile, Katrina Allen out there doing some work today, and congratulations, it's also her birthday.
Nice. Happy birthday, Katrina.
So great way to start at the Worlds. Even at the press conference yesterday, Katrina made the joke. She said, well, the drives aren't too bad. She was thinking back and comparing to Portland a few years ago.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, it's even worse when you go to the wrong course. And so she was kind of taking a little poke at herself from when she did that a few years ago. So this year, we're going to see where she is. Obviously, she is one of the contenders there. And we're going to see, as you were just mentioning, some international contenders showing up in Henna and Evelina. So that's what we're going to see. And I love being with you, buddy, but tomorrow morning we should prep everyone that it's going to be myself and Hannah Macbeth will be calling the FPO side of things. So looks like they're just about ready on the tee. We have our 2:30 feature card, and I'm not sure if they say it here, but it looks like a doozy.
Yeah, doozy seems accurate at this point, for sure.
Some new lingo here on SmashBox.
That's right. We also have a decent bit of wind out here on the first tee. It looks to be more of a helping wind for our competitors, but any wind on this first tee shot, especially with all this water carry, it's going to be in our competitors' heads. Gregg Barsby on the tee told me he's going to be throwing a combination of Scorpius and Boss off the tee all day, and this is picture perfect from Barsby. Never in danger, great landing spot.
Next up, from Denver, North Carolina, Michael Johansen.
Michael Joe, one of my favorite players to watch because he's so decisive and quick as a player.
And look at that ponytail.
I didn't even know you had one of those. That's not true, I did. Good looking shot from Michael Joe, assuming it sits down, and it has. It's a good way to start.
And from Boulder, Colorado, Eagle McMahon.
McMahon, another name that's been near the top throughout the year, and we are certainly looking forward to seeing if this is the event that he breaks through and wins his first world title. It seems almost like a foregone conclusion that he's going to win one at some point, but is this the year?
Well, last time he was here, he unfortunately had to withdraw to a neck injury. Here he is on the tee.
Huge Anheuser for McMahon. This is a very stable disc. Once again, picture perfect.
And from Jyväskylä in the nation of Finland, Väinö Mäkelä.
And I'd like to thank our starter for calling out the names. You guys have heard it all clearly the first time. I'm not going to improve on that.
Väinö, one of the great Finnish talents, like the announcer said, from Jyväskylä, Finland. And a bit low, but shouldn't be any trouble for Väinö.
I believe we're going to catch up with Dixon Jowers, our sideline reporter. Here's Dixon.
Hey everybody, welcome out to the course. This is Dixon Jowers reporting to you from the course today. It's a good day. The wind is picking up a little bit. We've got about 10 or so miles an hour, tail left to right wind on that hole. Everybody's safe across. In talking with the players ahead of time, there's some nerves here. Everybody's feeling it a little bit. But I think the quote that I want to focus in on that I thought was so fantastic, talking to Barsby ahead of time, I said, "How are you feeling today?" And he said, nervous, I'm ready to try to defend. It's been kind of a weird year going through all of this. But he said, no matter what happens today, I want to walk like a champion. So, Barsby, man, good luck with that. I'm going to catch up with you guys every couple of holes to let you know what's going on that you can't see. But in the meantime, let's head back to the booth, Terry and Robert, and get us started on the rest of this round here at the 2019 World Championships.
And there we have it. Dixon Jowers, as we mentioned, he'll be checking in with us probably every 3 or so holes. And it's so exciting to have a role out there, someone that's able to give us all the things that, Robert, you and I aren't seeing. And with that, I want to quickly give a huge shout out. Sunset Hills is our host here this week in terms of our booth location, which is great because on a morning like tomorrow morning, we're going to actually have the players on site. Maybe we'll get them to step in for a moment. Maybe we won't, but we're here at Sunset Hills. And that we're they're just being gracious hosts for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And starting out here on hole 1, this is one of the longest walks that you'll have between holes on the course. We have, and this is in the middle of the hole, we have to walk around the dam and around the water to get over to our approach shots with our featured card here. We'll have another one of those after hole 12, in between hole 12 and 13. But otherwise, pretty good course flow out here. And I would say certainly a gold level championship course. If you can keep the disc in bounds, you are going to score well out here. Assuming that you're even just puttering, there we go. Assuming that you're just putting even kind of mediocre for some of our top players. If they're keeping the disc in bounds and finding circle 2, they are going to score, they're going to shoot up the leaderboard.
And part of what you're talking about in this being a gold level course, this is actually a temporary course, and it's only put in for a few weeks out of the year, namely for the Ledgestone Insurance Open. But to follow that a little bit more, this course has seen 3 or 4 major revisions throughout the years. Nate Heinold and a few others came out and initially designed this course a number of years ago when they wanted to implement it into the Ledgestone event. And then Nate took some, we'll say, some very constructive and very stern feedback from a number of players from that first year it was here, and it has evolved throughout the last few years. And it seems like everyone is not only has come around, but some people have gone ahead and said, it's become one of their favorite courses to play out here. So Lake Eureka, thank you also for hosting us, as we have a multitude of the metro communities of Peoria that are all part of this World Championships.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting that both of the courses that we're going to play on the MPO side, because that's what we're mostly going to be talking about today, are really fair courses. Difficult, certainly. But at Northwood, if you find the fairway, you can score out there. At Eureka, if you keep the disc in bounds, you can score out there. But the second that you're off just a little bit or you lose focus, huge numbers are looming just around the corner, especially out here at Eureka. You think of holes coming up like the baseball field hole, hole 6, the bridge hole, hole 9. Lots of big numbers looming if our players get lax at any moment.
And after a little discussion, it looks like they've got it figured out who is going to be throwing their approach shot first.
This is Väinö from the bottom of the hill. He's in a good spot for footing here, so this should be about as stable a footing as you can find on hole 1.
And maybe a little bit of a nerve-wracking shot. You're throwing uphill, which of course has its own challenge. But then if you go too far past the basket, you actually could find yourself in the OB water. So he's come up short, and you'll have a good look at the basket putting uphill. Here's Michael Joe pushing to that right side, staying away from the water.
Yeah, and it shouldn't surprise anyone, but if you haven't seen Michael Johansen play before, don't blink.
Yeah, exactly.
You might miss it. And in fact, a lot of times he misses his putts going into the basket because Michael Johansen, this is one of my favorite things to watch in disc golf because it looks like a cool guy walking away from an explosion. He lets the putt go and then just reaches down and picks up as many. He knows it's in and he moves on. It's fantastic to watch. I hope we see 18 of those putts today. Barsby from A1 position, not great footing, but much closer to the basket. Puts that well inside circle 1, probably around 10 feet.
And as we're referencing things like circle 1, circle 2, and so on and so forth, of course, we're talking about some of the statistics that you can find out on UDisc Live. You can follow along there as well. What's great about that is you can actually just select your favorite players. Just go right next to their name. There will be a little star. Press on that star, and then that will pin your favorite players to the top of your screen as we're watching Eagle McMahon with just a long jump putt. What a luxury he is rewarded with in terms of that great drive.
Yeah, when you talk about luxury in the 1%, I'll tell you that Eagle is certainly in the 1% on this hole, having the luxury of getting to just lay up like that. Most people are throwing an overstable putter or a mid-range. If you're down at the very bottom of the hill, you could be throwing fairway driver up to this hole because it's drastically uphill to the basket.
Well, and as they are getting started here on hole 1, we mentioned a little bit about the long walk. You're not going to get as much, we're not going to get as much FaceTime on all the other holes that are coming up here, Robert, but there's a long walk here on hole 1. And then unfortunately for us, we've learned throughout the last few years that holes 2, 3, and 4 sometimes will lightly challenge our signal. So that's something that I want to make sure everyone's a little bit aware of. We're aware of it, and there's really nothing else we can do to avoid it. If Nate Heinold could fix it, he would have by now. So.
I believe that to be true.
Sit down. Okay.
Väinö's putt just off the top from right around the edge of circle 1. That putt looks like it measures around 30 feet and probably felt like about 38 or 40 feet because of the uphill.
Also, in referencing UDisc, that's where we see that Emerson Keith is our clubhouse leader, as we mentioned on the top of the show. In second place right now is Chris Clemens at 9 under. So Emerson currently a 3-stroke leader here at the World Championships in the early going. We had Emerson on our SmashBoxxTV podcast the other night. There's a great putt, and he had said, if I'm in the lead near the end of the week and my wife calls saying that we're about to have our first child, I just might stay home. I just might stay here at the tournament and finish it out. So let's hope Emerson's not in that position and they wait for that arrival maybe a week or so from now.
Michael Johansen, too close to look down and pick up as many before seeing the putter go into the basket. So we'll probably have to settle for 17 putts, but easy birdies for Johansen, Barsby, and McMahon. This will be a drop-in par for Mäkelä.
3 under, still very impressive here to open up on hole number 1. Thanks to Central Coast Disc Golf, we've got some hole previews. Robert, what are they trying to do here?
Hole 2, you're coming in at 615 feet, one of my favorite holes on the course. The ideal tee shot is going to land somewhere around the trees on the left side of the fairway here, just by this shelter. Anywhere in this distance is a pretty good spot to attack the green. Players do have to be careful as they're throwing their approaches down to the basket if they're throwing right-hand, backhand shots. The green and the fairway do slope down toward the water from right to left, and the basket only sits in places about 25 feet from the water's edge. And so very, very easy to find a rollaway or just a bad angle in the case that you are approaching the basket for your birdie. This green does receive forehand shapes extremely well, so if you are in a good enough spot to be able to throw a forehand up to this basket, this green does receive those shots very well.
Well, also found out on UDisc, as we'll reference them quite frequently, this is coming in as the 5th most difficult hole on the course, averaging 0.24 above par. So nearly a quarter stroke over par. 36% of the field has taken a bogey or worse here on hole number 2. So one of the more challenging ones in the early goings of the course.
That's right. And nearly every hole here on Eureka Lake, you could play for par and pretty much get par on every hole. But the second that our competitors start pushing a little bit and start to play for those birdies, and obviously they'll need to on the MPO side because we see Emerson Keith sitting 12 under par, you're going to need some birdies to catch this fella. But par is easy. When you start pushing for those birdies, that's when the big numbers come into play. Barsby, I believe this is Scorpius forehand off the tee. He just caught a limb on the left side of the fairway there. Not quite the distance that he'd like, but not a bad spot to attack the basket. Michael Johansen going Comet off the tee, just a little bit high. That'll trickle down to the left. He'll have a more difficult angle approach. McMahon opts for a Luster CFD3 and smashes a forehand down by the water. That water, as much as it seems like it is in play off the tee from our perspective, usually isn't reached by most of our competitors as they're wanting something that peels off to the right. That held a little straighter than I think McMahon had anticipated. Väinö's tee shot is shaping beautifully. That's a perfect spot.
We'll be back after a word from these sponsors.
Disc golf is a relatively young sport, but its popularity makes it one of the fastest growing pastimes in the world. The PDGA is a not-for-profit, worldwide player organization dedicated to promoting the sport. Like a long drive off the tee, disc golf is soaring. So don't just be a witness to disc golf's explosive growth, be a part of it. Join the PDGA.
And just as we were coming back, just in our preview screen, our cameraman wasn't even fully in position, and Michael Johansen had already stepped up and thrown his approach. So apologize. We're going to try and alleviate that as best as we can. But when MJ's ready to throw, he's ready to go.
You wouldn't think he's a sprinter, but the way that he plays out there on the course, I bet this man is very fast.
So it looks like instead we're going to be now catching up with Gregg Barsby throwing his second shot. And we're also hearing and seeing a little bit of the chatter on the board. Thank you guys for tuning in and joining us. We've already got a tremendous amount of people, more than 4,500 tuned in. If you're coming in from Europe or anywhere from across the U.S. and beyond, we appreciate it. Please like and share and let everyone know you're watching some live disc golf here for this first round. Gregg Barsby's shot is low, but should remain in bounds. Also, if there was any issue with the audio, we've been able to hopefully make a slight adjustment for you, and should be a little better moving forward. Eagle and Väinö having a brief conversation about who's going to be throwing next. It looks like Eagle is taking control here.
He must have gone OB in the water. That's a really unfortunate break for McMahon. You really don't see that hardly ever on this hole unless they're going OB up by the basket in the water.
Just as I had mentioned a moment ago, we have the chat board is blowing up here on YouTube with people telling us where you're tuned in from around the world, and it is awesome to see so many great countries represented and enjoying the action here, Robert.
Eagle lining up a very aggressive play out over the water here. And based on what we can see on UDisc, Eagle's drive did in fact land in the water, so this is going to be his third. He's getting some applause from the gallery, so he must have landed safely, but I think from his angle it would be really hard to attack the basket well enough to guarantee the four from there. Although if anyone could do it, I mean, Eagle could certainly do it. After a fantastic drive, this is Väinö from the fairway. Looks like he's just going to be throwing a soft hyzer that'll stand up to flat and just kind of filter down to the basket. And that's a beautiful shape from Mäkelä. It looks like he's going to settle inside circle one or right near it. There is one last bit of danger once you get up to the circle. There's one tree inside the circle that can foil even the best laid plans. Landing under there means that you're at best taking a knee and trying to spin something under the ceiling, and at worst, just laying up.
Yeah, and the one mistake not to make here on hole number 2 is to push it to that left side. Of course, bringing that water into play. Even if you are going right, and like you just mentioned, you have to lay up, well, so be it. Walking away with a par, nothing wrong with that. You're probably picking up some scores on the rest of the, most of the competitors anyway. A par and beyond is good, so.
That's exactly right. We see Michael Joe playing that soft anhyzer into the hill. It's gotten a good bounce to the left. He should be in a good position to collect his par.
And we see some of the flags out there on the course. Those are usually to indicate then circle 1 or circle 2. And I know I referenced those in terms of UDisc earlier, but if you're newer, maybe you're not sure, circle 1 is a reference to 10 meters and in. So whenever we talk about being at circle 1, that is a 10-meter mark, roughly 32 or 33 feet. And then, of course, circle 2 is exactly double that at, well, I think that's about 66 or
right.
20 meters.
This is Barsby from range. Nearly drops it in, misses just on the right side of the basket, but looks as if he's settled safely inside the circle. He'll be putting back up at the basket for his par 4. Barsby known to throw those sorts of putts in all the time.
Yeah, and specifically last year's World Championships, when I remember arriving and he's like, "You should have been out there filming me today." I had like 3 throw-ins from 100 feet. So we'll see if Barsby has some of that magic as we watch Eagle put in for what should be his par.
Yeah, I stand corrected on that was a difficult shot. Well, no, it was still a difficult shot. Eagle just made it look very easy. That's the rare circle 4 that you're going to see here on hole 2. Michael Joe in for his par. And then last to putt will be Väinö from inside the circle. So we're going to have a bit of a flip-flop on the top card here as Mäkelä collects the only birdie. Barsby along with Johansen and McMahon in for their par.
Going to move over to one of the shorter holes we'll find on the course. Robert, what's the plan here?
Hole 3 is one of the holes our top competitors want to get. It's playing as the 12th most difficult hole on the course, 2.91 scoring average. It says 260 feet, and I feel like it plays a little bit closer to 300 because of the uphill. Competitors are going to be throwing straight down the middle of the gap that the drone is flying down as we speak. There is a play out over the path on the left side, as well as a very narrow hyzer on the right. But really, you just want to miss a lot of trees. Find yourself inside circle 1 and circle 2 and get your look at the birdie 2. We've got 29% of the MPO field has taken birdie so far, 54% coming in at par, only 17% bogey or worse so far today. This almost feels like the calm before the storm when it comes to Lake Eureka. It's a pretty straightforward par 3, albeit a tight gap. It's a gap that all of our competitors can and have hit before. It's just a matter of if they can do it right now.
And as you mentioned, Väinö catching up to the rest of the card, taking the lone birdie on hole 2. So things all knotted up here within this feature card.
Mäkelä taking quite an understable disc, but pushing over to the right side, and the OB to the right is almost unreachable unless the disc just goes crazy. The path on the left, much more in play for our players here. Barsby looks like he's going to take the route out over the path here. Oh no, he just goes down the middle with a forehand flex. And it looked like that didn't quite have the stability that Barsby was looking for. I don't believe that got back in bounds on the left side.
And if there's a hole on this course that Michael Joe should feel right at home, as he's used to playing in the North Carolina woods, this is definitely one of the holes with the smallest gaps to hit.
Yeah, and that's just a bit pulled to the right with a comment from Michael Johansen. And if you haven't seen him play before, comment is one of his favorite discs, a slow, easy to turn over mid-range. This is going to be Glow MD3 for McMahon. He's turned it a bit to the left. And that is OB left, unfortunately, for McMahon.
Oh, no. Why?
And we're going to catch up with Michael Joe's approach shot here.
Looks like that was more of maybe a half-run layup for Johansen. The path from his perspective is behind the basket and to the left, which is where his putter will generally want to fade. So it looks like he didn't want to get too aggressive and really spin that disc toward the basket. It's going to be Barsby from circle 2. Looks like his disc did land safe, must have hit a tree to get over here. Oh, just low for Barsby.
Solid run by Barsby as he's contemplating with himself, walking back after swooping up his mini. You can see a brief smile on his face.
Väinö looks to be just inside circle 1, putting straight at the path. And that's just off the side of the chains. Not quite enough to catch. He'll have to settle for par here. The group's going to take a moment to determine where McMahon went out of bounds. Where McMahon is standing is inside circle 1, so he'd be putting for his par from there. And that's the spot they're going to give to him. And I think that's the right spot. It's hard to tell from our perspective, but it seemed like it did cover a lot of fairway before crossing that path.
So Eagle with the opportunity to save a par on back-to-back holes. Here's 2 and 3.
This is about 28, 30 feet for McMahon. And that didn't ever really have a chance as McMahon lets it go just a bit low. Not quite the follow-through that we're used to seeing from McMahon. The confident spin, that just came out a bit soft. So we're going to have drop-in threes for all but McMahon, who will be dropping in for 4 after the unfortunate out-of-bounds.
Hole 2, not quite as easy as you would expect from this feature card. Let's take a look at hole 4, one of the most challenging par 3s we'll find on the course.
Playing right in the middle of the road as far as difficulty goes, 3.07 scoring average. The shape of this hole is what makes it so difficult. 423 feet is actually very deceptive. Most players could throw a putter or mid-range and get down to this basket because of the steep downhill past the trees. There is woods line on the left that can get very thick, that opens up a bit by the basket, but can also allow your disc to go way too far into the woods. And we have OB path to the right as well, along with a Mando that keeps players from just throwing a wide skipping hyzer out over the path. 20% of the open field right now taking birdie on this, 56% collecting their par 3. And I think that's what we tend to see a lot of times. Players get most of the way down the fairway, but because of the steep decline near the basket, a lot of times they just lay up. Because there's rollaway potential all around this basket that's up on a mound.
Yeah, as it's mounted up there as if that. And we've seen some really big numbers taken here.
Yes.
And a lot of people struggle as if getting to the basket isn't quite tough enough. Then, catching an edge or catching the side of the basket and rolling away. Sometimes you may have a longer second or third putt than you did on the previous one. So we'll see how these guys can attack it.
Mäkelä taking what looked like the same disc that he threw off of hole 3. It's probably fortunate for him that it hit the tree that it did, though that will not be an easy approach shot. It was likely drifting out of bounds right. Yeah, that was a glow PA3 for Väinö there. This looks to be eagle from Barsby, I believe. And he's playing for the right side of that tree that he passed to the left. That's going to get into the woods line, and he'll have a bit of a scramble to get up and down. It's going to be the 3rd hole in a row that Michael Johansen has taken Comet off the tee, and this is shaped beautifully. Oh, and it touched in bounds behind the basket. It's hard for us to tell if that's in or not from our perspective. Even if it isn't, he's in a good position to save his par 3. That was 98% of a fantastic shot from Johansen, just a bit unlucky at the end. And McMahon going more of a stable route along the right side. That'll unfortunately be stopped short.
But he will be inbounds looking at that downhill layup. We'll be back in a moment.
I practice a lot. It's a vice. An escape from stress, from work. It's my chance to just get away during the week. It's like meeting up with an old friend, you know? I'll never get tired of that sound.
Poison ivy's itchy rash ruins the best day outdoors. Zenful gives immediate relief, washes away the toxin, stops the horrific itch. Safe for kids and pets. No downtime. Got poison ivy? Get Zenful. It works.
Welcome back. It looks like we have Väinö throwing his approach shot first.
Extremely touchy down to the basket here. He'll need to land this probably 30 feet short to get it to scoot up to the basket the way that he'd like to.
Such a fluid release.
This is too high. That's going to skip down to the left a bit. He's still going to be inside the circle, and from there, that's not a bad result whatsoever. It's just so hard to land the disc close from that high up the hill. We got a bit of discussion about Michael Johansen's shot. He's told by the spotter that the group might want to look at where it landed. In the meantime, McMahon is just outside circle 2. It's a much more comfortable layup from this spot.
And at that point, no matter who you are, that is the right move. Absolutely.
The only time that you're running that is in a playoff where the other person is absolutely under the basket for 2 and you have to ring it up. Barsby from the woods has done the exact same thing as McMahon, and that is the smart play. If you're about 40 feet from the basket in the woods, most of the time you are staring at OB behind, knowing that if you miss, you're not getting a 3, you're getting a 4 at absolute best. So Johansen walks up, instantly says it's out, and he's going to take a long walk back up the hill to throw his 3rd. It looked like from our perspective that it had crossed in bounds and touched in bounds near where the disc was sitting. But the card has agreed that it only crossed out of bounds right around circle 1's edge. So he still has an opportunity to save 3 here. He will likely have at least 1, maybe 2 trees to contend with in between himself and the basket.
It's about 37 feet.
Wow. That's expertly done by Johansen. Not a natural hyzer putter either. Usually lets everything go on a little bit of that anhyzer to let it work back. Beautiful touch with roll away looming behind the basket. Väinö maintains his clean scorecard and puts in for the 3. McMahon is in as well. We'll see the same from Barsby. So several different routes to the same score here on hole 4. That's probably going to be the same for a lot of our cards out here today.
We're going to move over to the famous baseball diamond hole, hole number 5, 476 feet. What's the play, Robert?
Well, our biggest throwers are going to go over the field and attack this basket. 476 feet is a attainable distance for a lot of our competitors. And I think truly to reach the basket going straight over the baseball field, competitors are throwing more closer to around a 450-foot shot, maybe 440. To clear the fence, though, and be in bounds, certainly need to clear 400 feet. Some players are going to take the safe route out along the right side. I think we'll see a lot of aggressive play, but all out of bounds, whether it goes in the baseball field or if they happen to throw it long past the fairway, goes to a drop zone that is not a guaranteed up and down. It probably plays about, I don't know, maybe 320 feet or so, and OB tight behind the basket as well. This is coming in as our most difficult hole on the day so far. 3.71 scoring average, only 6% of the field carding the birdie 2. 53% carding that par 3, and so I think we've probably seen a lot of people play nice and safe, get out to the right, and then just lay up for their 3. But by the looks of it, Väinö will be doing no such thing.
Unfortunately, we've seen numbers as high as a 7 here.
Oh no,
today.
So far today, only 7 birdie 2s on hole 5. Mäkelä's shot is up and flat. This has the right angle.
And he receives the green flag. A great drive here by Väinö.
So based on the flags near the tee, that was pretty much the perfect wind to go for this shot, right to left wind. Now we see him blowing a little bit more of a tail, so the wind may be swirling a little bit out there for our competitors today. Barsby with a good angle as well. This looks to have all the distance needed. And that's a green flag for Barsby as well, who famously threw in, just took the one shot to complete this hole a few years back at the Ledgestone Insurance Open.
Michael Joe's going to play it much safer than we saw from the first two throws. He's going to go over the more of the right field fence, so to speak.
Yeah, that's more of the mere mortal play. And I like that play for people who aren't 100% confident that they're going to birdie. 3 loses strokes to, so far today, only 7 people. As if there was ever a doubt, McMahon going for this basket. Heiser flip. And that is, we've got 4 competitors safe here on hole 5.
That is a great start, and we're going to see you in a moment.
For the dreamers, the planners, thrill seekers, and chill seekers. For the adventurous, the curious, the creative, and the passionate. For the young and the young at heart. For her, for him, for everyone.
Robert, you were out on the course a little earlier today walking around. How was the humidity?
Not as bad as I thought. We were also coming from Kentucky, where it was much more humid.
Okay, and we see the winds ripping as Michael Joe is thrown his approach. One of the reasons I ask is because it looks as if we're going to stay clear of thunderstorms, although some of those clouds may think otherwise. But last night, some really incredible storms rolled through the area. As we were getting out of the players' meeting, and even during the players' meeting, you could hear the rain, and then the thunder and the lightning went on for hours and hours, actually, and it was lighting up the sky beautifully. It was just a few miles from here. Again, they're talking about it being clear throughout the rest of the week and hopefully not impacting us. But with the storms rolling through and some of this Midwestern heat, we may or may not see some really sticky conditions and some high humidity out there. But I mean, you live in Emporia, so what do you?
Yeah, and we're from Texas before that,
exactly.
So very humid. I think I could speak for all of our competitors when I say that they would take humidity over rain or storms any day of the week. So slightly unfavorable playing conditions in favor of having decent grip and decent footing. Yeah, they'll take that trade-off.
So Eagle here is now going to have an opportunity to take the birdie if he can cash in on this long putt. He's definitely outside the circle.
Yeah, this is circle 2. Väinö just pitched up just a moment ago for his 3. McMahon putting with P2s here. Looks like he's got a bit of wind in his face. And that's just right side of the basket.
I think he's even a little perplexed. I think when he released that, he really thought he had it. We saw him with a little of the body language. Kind of surprised he wasn't drawing metal or putting that one in.
Barsby from just outside circle 1. Putting with AVRs as he has for countless years up to this point. He leaves that just a bit low. Looked as if he was, like you said about Eagle, very confident that he'd made that putt when he let it go.
MJ has a little bit of work to do here after his approach shot. I believe the wind pushed it to the right. And now he's right around circle's edge trying to save his par.
Whoa, and that's uncharacteristic for Johansen. He's got a bit of a lengthy comeback for his bogey.
Oh my goodness. Michael Joe. Now, as we talked about earlier, he is a fast putter, so there's no second guessing that, but he never misses, especially inside the circle.
McMahon's going to collect his par. So that's going to be pars for Väinö, Barsby, and Eagle. And then that's a double bogey 5 for Johansen. And
he didn't even go out of bounds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Incredible. Yeah, we're going to collect our thoughts as well, as they're going to have a lengthy walk to move over to hole 6.
All right, we are 5 holes in with our lead group here, and there's an interesting feeling that I'm getting out here. It almost feels like a casual round. When you have the last 4 groups are split up by a half hour each, the gallery is following each of the groups. There's almost no noise. It's not what you would normally feel at a tournament with kind of the excitement and the things going on. And then you've got 2 of the most laid-back golfers ever in Barsby and MJ, and so the vibe on the card is chill. I mean, even Eagle's talking a little bit. Väinö is kind of he's kind of in his own mind, focusing on what he needs to do. He said he has played with Eagle before. He's played with Barsby before. This is his first time with MJ. So he's just kind of part of the crowd, but it's really laid back feeling. So I think this could be a good environment for these guys to score well, because you don't feel like this is Worlds. It almost feels like a casual round or a beat here with just a group of your friends out here, and there just happens to be some other people hanging out at the park. So let's see as this develops, as we're going to start to get caught up on some of those other groups where the backups usually happen on this course, if that feeling starts to really get to these guys that, man, I've got to really perform. This is the Worlds. If they start feeling that pressure, or if it's just peaceful, easy feeling, I'm out throwing frisbees in the park. Let's go catch up with them on the tee box of hole 6.
All right, and Dixon Jowers, really interesting observation. And to further that a little bit, there, I believe, was a 30-minute gap that we saw between the second to last card of the day and then between the second to last and the third to last card.
Right.
So there was only in that 1 hour time span, rather than every 10 or 12 minutes or so, they were going off in 30 minutes, creating just a little bit more of a buffer. Things run a little bit more smoothly that way. And if there's not a massive gallery out there that are out there consuming this, and they're not really catching anyone or waiting, I can understand how Dixon's suggesting that maybe this feels a little chill or relaxed.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's like that. And I was out with the women at Northwood this morning, and Paige Bierkus made the same comment. She said, this doesn't really feel like Worlds. There was a very small gallery with the ladies this morning, maybe 5 or 10 people. And, good applause and good interaction. That was great. But yeah, it's a little strange, maybe not strange, but just different for us that it's Tuesday. Most of the time, World starts on Wednesday or even a little bit later, depending on the year that we play it. So just an early start to the week. I think as we get toward the end of the week, we'll see more and more competitors, more and more spectators coming out as they're off work, done with their obligations for the weekend so that they can come in and take part in the disc golf action out here.
Yeah, and really with no leaders, so to speak, of yet today, I think, everyone's going to maybe let the score sort out. There were 4 or 5 overall feature cards. So a lot of people, whether you're consuming it live and watching with us now, of course, thank you. Tomorrow, you'll also be able to get caught up on quite a few different people and cards without there being an official leader. There's still a lot of golf to consume in that sense. So as I mentioned a little earlier, we'll be back tomorrow morning on the days of Wednesday and Friday morning. That's when we're going to be bringing you the FPO lead card live. Myself and Hannah Macbeth, Dixon Jowers will be out on the course. You'll probably be out on the course as well, watching some of the FPO action. So we will see you, of course, tomorrow morning. We are not live during those 2 afternoons because the men will be at the Northwood course, where we just simply do not have the signal to bring you the action.
Mäkelä taking the box for this group. He and Barsby both sit at 1 under par on the day with just the single birdie, 4 pars to go along with it. Hole 6 coming in as our second most difficult hole on the day, a 4.62 scoring average. OB everywhere on this. This is more right than Barsby had anticipated. He needs that to skip safely, and it's done so. That right side can really sneak up on some of our longer throwers if they get a hold of it just a little bit too long. I expect that we see McMahon play a little bit more aggressively on this hole to try and collect the birdie 3. Only 9% of the field carding under par scores so far today. And he's in a good spot to do that with the sort of distance that he has there. And this is Zeus from Michael Johansen, just playing a smooth hyzer out to the fairway.
With a long walk down hole number 6. We'll be back in a moment.
Back with Johansen throwing his second shot. This is a force out over the OB. And he just sneaks over the OB ropes back in bounds.
MJ giving the replay for us. Speaking of replays, as we're going to, I'm sure, see some great shots yet that are in store for us. We know that Sandy Point Resort and Disc Golf Ranch is, in fact, our replay sponsor here this week. So great to see Mike and Michelle from northern Wisconsin getting in on the action. Not too far of a drive if you're here in Peoria, that's for sure.
And I stand corrected. It looks like McMahon is just going to play safe here. This doesn't look like a go for it type shot. Yeah, definitely a safe forehand for McMahon, staying over the inbounds area all the way down, hitting the birdhouse in the fairway.
The question is, did that in fact roll out of bounds? I couldn't quite see the flag.
We don't see a whole lot of movement from the spotter, so you have to assume that that's safe. Barsby is close enough to the ropes that he could get aggressive if he so desired. Certainly has the distance to cover. This is probably playing maybe 450 or 460 feet, but he'll have to be over out of bounds for probably 390 of that. And this is a go for it shot from Barsby. Needs that to settle softly when it hits. And it's done so. That's going to be probably circle 2 or close to it, putting for his 3.
It looks like he may be splitting the difference actually between circle 1 and circle 2. I think the flags are at circle 2. We saw him to the right of those from that vantage point. So maybe as short as 40 feet for the birdie.
Mäkelä far enough up the fairway that he can throw pure hyzer in toward this basket. He's flown straight over the top of our cameraman's head and come to rest inbounds. He'll be right around the edge of circle 1 looking at his birdie 3. Yep. And birdie opportunities are nothing to sneeze at on this hole, as only 6% of the MPO field has come to rest inside circle 2 in regulation, only 4% inside circle 1.
And I'm not sure if I'm looking at the right statistics on UDisc.
Something is wrong with those.
Yeah,
scores.
It seems as if there's something off because as I'm very briefly looking at UDisc, I see that Dustin Keegan, Will Schustrick, and Sam Lee have all somehow carded Eagle 2s on this hole, which means okay, we're going to have to check in with our
foot.
There is definitely something slightly off with that. And not that any one of them could not possibly take a 2, but the fact that we would then have 3 eagles from outside of 400 or 500 feet on this particular hole with OB everywhere, something seems a little bit off. We'll get back to you guys on that one.
Johansen throws his banger from the right side of the fairway up toward the basket. That settles nicely, and he is inside 10 feet for his par. Taking a look over at UDisc, we see that James Conrad has come in with the second hot score of the day, 10 under par, 2 bogeys, 12 birdies on the day for Conrad. He shoots a 53 and is currently in the clubhouse in second place.
A solid approach shot there by Eagle McMahon.
And nice and safe. Eagle not taking any unnecessary risks early in the week. Moving down the leaderboard a bit, we see Paul McBeth sitting at 7 under through 12. Making the long walk over to the back stretch of the course. He's in good position to climb up the leaderboard a bit more, along with Kevin Jones, who's sitting at 6 under through 12. Very good chance we see those gentlemen make some moves and find themselves on the top few cards for tomorrow's coverage.
Yep. And as we were just also looking around that scoring area, Anthony Borello and Philo, along with Austin Hannum, all in that 7 to 8 under range. They're all in the clubhouse and done for the day, but definitely sitting way up on that leaderboard.
This is Barsby for birdie. Like you said, probably around 40 or 45 feet. And that just never really had what it needed to get there from Barsby. I wonder how much the wind is at play there, because Barsby is more of a pitch putter, doesn't generate quite as much spin on the putter. That makes it a little bit more susceptible to the wind.
And speaking of pitch putters versus spin putters, as many of you have already talked about or asked about, Kale Leviska, who has recently switched from a pitch putt to a very, very effective spin putt just in the last few months. Unfortunately, did withdraw. In talking to a few Minnesota reps the other night, it sounded as if Kale thinks it may be related to a Lyme disease flare-up that he's had. So, and whether it's that or just any other illness, and he's unsure of it, best wishes, of course, to Kale, hoping for a speedy recovery and that he can feel better. But yes, Kale officially withdrawn here from the Worlds this year. He did not start this morning, so to make that clear, he did not even get out onto the course, as he's been battling it for the last few days.
So both of our birdie opportunities from Barsby and Mäkelä come up short. They'll be tapping in for par, as will McMahon and Johansen. So we'll have 4 pars on the second most difficult hole of the day, hole 6.
We're going to move over to what should be hole number 7 here. A very challenging hole.
So hole 7 is coming in as the 18th most difficult. So the quick math, it means that that is the easiest hole on the course. We're having a bit of a technical difficulty with our hole preview. Hole 17, 270, sorry, hole 7, 275 feet. Sorry, I'm flustered. I'm looking at the wrong stuff. Come on. More than half of the MPO field carding the birdie 2 here today, 58%, a 2.54 scoring average. This is most certainly a must-get here at the World Championships. Players can play a forehand out to the left side that flexes back to the right. We'll also see some kind of just straight putter plays up the middle, as well as straight mid-ranges. Something more on the understable side is usually what we'll see if players opt for the backhand. This is PA3 from Mäkelä. Just a bit short, but in the middle of the fairway. He's probably going to be inside circle 2 putting for his 2 there.
As we're waiting for Barsby, I know I mentioned earlier that we thought we saw 3 possible 2s on hole 6. As I'm looking at Sam Lee, Dustin Keegan, and Will Schustrick on hole 7, this hole, it says they went 6-5-5. So somehow I'm thinking holes 6 and 7 scores were possibly transposed.
That sounds right. So that's early right for Barsby. He will be displeased with that effort.
A really tough ricochet could find them in the water or at least down the embankment on this left side.
And this is a smooth mid-range forehand for McMahon. That's his Glow MD3. Banger for Johansen, and he just walks away from it knowing that he's thrown a great shot 25 feet or so from there.
No big deal.
Zuca is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuca can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag. Zuca is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuca can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag.
When I need to check the wind, I just let out my hair.
Disc golf is 90% mental. The other 10% also mental.
If you want to make new friends on the course, pick up someone's disc in the fairway by accident.
Stay getting birdies, my friends.
I believe we have Daniel Reynoso on the bag. He also is the official UDisc hype man, helping make sure that all of the cards get as much coverage as possible in terms of the UDisc scoring and statistics. Daniel getting a first-hand look here at this feature card.
Barsby with a nice Anheuser attempt. Once again, he's going to be disappointed collecting anything other than a 2 on this hole. This is Väinö from circle 2. This putt is framed up nicely between the trees for him. And that zooms past the basket for Mäkelä. He's not going to have a short comeback putt there, maybe 25 feet or so. I got a little extra action to the trees behind the basket.
A little extra work, plus he's going to have to straddle out to his right. Just when we thought hole 7 was a must-get birdie and one of the easiest holes out here, these guys are doing a little bit more work than they anticipated. Solid comeback.
And Väinö is going to be pleased that he knocked that down, but upset that it isn't for birdie. Those are the sorts of putts that are so bittersweet. Like, yes, I made it. I don't have to take another stroke. Unfortunately, it was on the easiest hole on the course. This is a much-needed birdie for McMahon to pull him back under par.
Quick look at McMahon's scorecard. Just a little bit of a slow start, especially by his standards. And you could see that, right, especially as we were looking at it, just immediately out of his hand. That was just left for Michael Joe. And something seems to be a tad off with Michael Joe, one of the most solid and consistent putters we've seen in the game over the last 10 years. And things are just not clicking for him here in the early going.
Barsby is going to be in for par. As is Johansen.
All right, guys, we're pulling for some birdies. Let's get it going.
Moving from the easiest hole on the course to the 5th most difficult, hole 8, I think is one of the visually the most demanding drives on the course. Players must clear the water in front of them. It says 220 feet to clear. It feels like a lot more than that when you're standing on this box, especially throwing a full power drive. Drives that land out in the open here have accomplished less than half of the battle, as the approach to the green is the trickiest part of this hole. Water to the left as well as to the right, and then a bit of woods and low brush to the right that can keep you from having a great look at the basket if you find it over there. This is coming in, like I said, as the 5th most difficult hole on the day, 4.2 scoring average. Only 19% of the MPO field collecting the birdie, and then 50% carding the par.
Well, and Eagle McMahon is awarded with the opportunity to go out and around. Now, this is only for your biggest distance throwers that this is even an option. And Eagle's not going to go for the gap. Instead, he's going to go out and around, playing the big wide hyzer route and taking, well, effectively at least half of the trees out of play. And that's a very difficult shot to try and follow as McMahon pushes out and is inbounds. He gets the green flag, and
that's good work if you can get it. That's, I think, effective power to throw that sort of shot is about 550 feet. And he's landed where some pretty good down the middle shots land. Väinö lining up the more traditional down the middle route. And this is piped a little bit left of center, but not a bad spot.
And receives the green flag from one of our gracious spotters. There are a number of them at our courses throughout the week. So now's a great time to thank each and every one of them. Thank you guys for coming out and being part of the World's experience and the World's Week, making it better for both us and the players. And Barsby is flipped up, and that is pushing the left side, and he's going to be out of bounds. That did not hit his line out of his hand. You could tell right away.
Yeah, and any shot that does not clear the gap here and land on the grass on the other side goes to the drop zone, which is on the tee side of that water. And so it's really 5 at best at that point.
Michael Joe does the exact opposite, but he's able to filter through as he challenged that right side. Green flag. We'll see you at the drop zone.
Disc golf is a relatively young sport, but its popularity makes it one of the fastest growing pastimes in the world. The PDGA is a not-for-profit, worldwide player organization dedicated to promoting the sport. Like a long drive off the tee, disc golf is soaring. So don't just be a witness to disc golf's explosive growth, be a part of it. Join the PDGA.
I'm Cale Laviska from Minnesota, and you're watching SmashBoxxTV, baby.
Wait a minute. Now, that was Cale. Well, he's not. What?
He's not playing.
Oh. Okay, well, that might have been from 2014, but nonetheless, we appreciate the shout out there by Cale, who's unfortunately not with us here this weekend or not competing. And wow. Barsby with a huge shot. Does it sit down? And that appears to be the green flag for Barsby.
That was massive for Barsby from the drop zone. Probably 500 or so to get to the spot he just threw that disc to. Maybe just shy of 500. In a narrow landing zone if you're trying to get up to the basket.
As we're taking a look at our round 1 leaderboard, Emerson Geith, who was already in the clubhouse when we opened the show today, he has that 12 under, the scorching hot round. James Conrad just came in the last few minutes with that 10 under par. Also, of course, a great round. Chris Clemens has been in for a while. And Austin Hannum had a very early round this morning. In fact, I arrived at Lake Eureka, and Austin was on hole 17, and that was around 10 a.m. this morning. So he had a relatively early round and plenty of birdies out there as he took 10 birdies and 2 bogeys.
Johansen really just playing safe here. And there's not a whole lot to do when you're that far away from the basket. Really just playing to that stump is about an 80-footer. Players could run that if they want to, but there is drop off to the left as well as some trees and shul behind and to the right. The best play for the player from there is just to lay up to that stump, pitch up, take their 4, and move on. This is Väinö Mäkelä on the left side of the fairway.
Casey's General Store, not a supporting sponsor, but they could be.
Yeah, nice advertising spot for them here.
They are actually a very active or very prominent Midwestern chain. We'd love to, maybe they should get on board with some disc golf. There's a good shot. Did it sit though? Anticipation gives us the red flag. He will get all of the distance, so it looks like he may have a relatively short putt at the basket from there. But unfortunately, Väinö out of bounds. Now, Eagle, I'm interested to see just how aggressive this forehand is, because as we know, it narrows near the basket. So this is a very delicate shot, but he is in perfect position if he did want to be aggressive. This is about as far as you're going to see anyone throw a drive.
Definitely. And he's playing the correct side here. As long as this gets a good skip, yeah, he's going to get the green flag and be putting back up toward the basket. You'd rather flirt with the right side than the left here. The left drops off toward the water, and you can get those rollaways, as we saw from Väinö there. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in for today's coverage. If you haven't done so already, we hope that you like this video. If you're enjoying the stream today, that you subscribe to SmashBoxxTV's YouTube channel, and you share the stream out today. We'd love to get some more eyes on live disc golf here at the 2019 PDGA Disc Golf World Championships. Over 5,800 of you enjoying live disc golf on a Tuesday.
On a Tuesday.
We got this all week.
These are similar numbers to what we anticipate. Most of you will also tune in at 9 o'clock for the live SmashBoxxTV
Very similar
podcast. Similar numbers, so we invite you to join us tonight.
That's usually when I tune in, it's usually around that 5,000 mark.
Somewhere in that neighborhood. But to put it in perspective, as it looks like they're going to get their official marks over there. We've been excited about seeing 5,800 viewers on a final day for a final round at tournaments. So we cannot say it enough. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. Of course, we hope you'll be with us all week, and we'd love to see these numbers double or triple as the week moves on. And we really will have the live podcast starting at 9 p.m.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to stick around, we'll have that going on as well.
Can I stick around?
You can. I know we'll have Coach Pierce. We're going to talk a little bit about disc golf in Croatia, and we've got all sorts of topics. And, of course, we'll talk about what's happened here today during our opening day of the World Championships.
Barsby with a lot of want on the effort there, but not enough follow through to get that putter to the basket. He's going to have to settle for bogey 5 after throwing his drive out of bounds. Michael Joe just playing a gentle layup as well. Once you're, like I said, once you're in the position that he was, there isn't much more to do than layup.
And it doesn't look like by much Eagles did stay in bounds. So he'll still have a look at a birdie here.
And he is in circle 1 with a little bit of awkward footing, but the basket not too much above his feet. McMahon converts for his birdie 3, kind of the first.
There it is.
Beautiful drive out over the trees. Excellent forehand approach to the green. He converts for the birdie 3. It's going to pull him to 2 under par on the day after birdieing 7 and 8 back-to-back. Quick conversation from our featured card to determine Väinö's lie. He is going to be behind the basket from the tee's perspective, putting back up for his opportunity to save par. And a huge conversion for Mäkelä. Take another look at that putt as well. He opts for the straddle stance with the awkward footing on the side of the hill. Great par save there on this, the now 6th most difficult hole of the day. Averaging over par, still only throwing 3 shots, and unfortunately collecting the 4, but picking up strokes on the field.
Taking the bridge over to the back 9. What do we see here?
354 feet on the bridge hole. This is playing as the 3rd easiest hole on the course today. drives have to come to rest inbounds in the island, or they move to the drop zone that the drone just flew over, throwing 3. The island is fair. This is an attainable shot for all of our competitors, but the fact that it is roped off as an island will get in a lot of people's heads throughout this week. This is where we can see a lot of just routine 2s, as we've seen from 57% of the MPO field, 29% carding the par, but then unfortunately 14% of the MPO field at bogey or worse. Some big numbers can come out if you miss the island and then miss from the drop zone yet again. That's 6 at best from that point.
Yeah, we've seen some really, really crazy numbers here throughout the years, and I know we've mentioned earlier in the show that this course has gone through a few variations and different iterations of how it's laid out and what it's looked like, but we've seen some real hearts broken on this. I think back to AJ Risley a few years ago. He was one of the more recent ones at the Ledgestone, but then a year or two before that, Jeremy Colling, I don't remember if it was a 29 or a 44 or whatever. It was a high number. It was relatively large. I'm just picking on you, Germ. But in all seriousness, he took a very large number on this hole. And this is one of those that can really break your round. Again, not nearly as tough and punishing as it has been in years past, but people get up to it. It's a really unique structure as you're throwing through this bridge. And with the OB that's everywhere, you're definitely a little bit nervous here. Maybe you let your guard down on a few of the previous holes, or maybe you didn't. But this hole will definitely make you think about it when you're throwing these tee shots.
And there's a certain aspect of challenge with the bridge kind of serving as a tunnel to the basket. You can't just throw a wide hyzer like a lot of our competitors would like to. That's a lot of times how they control their distance, is by playing that wide hyzer shot and throwing full power shots instead of powering down on something, you know, like a mid-range or a fairway and just having to throw it straight all the way. That's a lot more touch to land this island and control the distance that way.
And here's Eagle McMahon on the tee. And that looks pretty conservative.
This is high and left for McMahon, just trying to play safe. He's going to be inside circle 2, but he's certainly not trying to take any risks. The hole only measures 354 feet. But I believe that was putter for McMahon. I want to double check that. Yeah, that was a P3X for McMahon. We're going to give a big shout out to, I'm going to do my best here, Knut Vallen Holland, carding the ace here, lone ace of the day, 354-foot throw in. Congratulations, Knut. This would be a pretty good one to ace. Väinö taking a more straight-on approach, and he is safe looking at his birdie 2.
I would be even more impressed, Robert, if you were giving those ace congratulations in the language in which Knut would understand it better.
That's right. That's right. I believe.
I'll wait on that.
He's from Norway.
Okay.
And I'd have to brush up
on your Norwegian.
Yeah, I'm not quite there yet.
Michael Joe matches the previous shot. It looks like he's maybe even just a few feet closer.
Last to tee is Barsby. He's got a flat release, headed left. He's safe as well. We got 4 safe here. That's good on hole 9.
And here's some thanks to our super chatters thus far.
Nice shot. Was that a Raider? Yep. Good little bit of turn and then a nice strong fade. Hey man, I've been meaning to talk to you about your pre-shot routine. It's a bit excessive, don't you think?
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, in a tournament you only get 30 seconds.
Wait, really?
Yeah, really. Oh. That bird just razzed me. I gotta restart.
Thank you to all of our generous super chatters and sponsors and supporters here of the event and of our stream. Here's Eagle McMahon. On point, but definitely short. Just not enough power at all. Not even really close to enough power to get it in.
That wasn't a conscious layup. You have to believe McMahon was running that, though there is out of bounds, maybe 20 feet behind the basket. This is the World Championship. There's no way he's laying that up. Barsby with a little extra action, kind of giving himself a subtle head shake. This has not been Gregg Barsby's day so far, as he is sitting at even par on the day. Väinö in for his birdie 2.
And as the board has requested, we see Michael Joe put in for the birdie. We've actually sent a special message out to the group and just passed on the good word that everyone would love to see them light up the back 9.
Yes.
So that we put the call in, and I'm hoping for at least a collective 30 under out of the.
Usually they haven't really thought about playing well up until we send that message out.
Good. Well, here we are. Here's the back 9, Robert. Hole number 10.
Yeah, hole 10, par 3, 450 feet. This is a string of par 3s from 9 to 12 that competitors certainly want to take advantage of whenever possible. This is one of my favorite holes on the course because it's a bit of a grip it and rip it shot, playing as the 4th easiest hole on the course today. 38% of the field carding the birdie 2. They have an OB wall on the left side and then OB long right of the basket, but usually that doesn't come into play. With the correct wind, this can be less than driver if the player has the power to get there, as we saw Paul McBeth put this about 20 feet away with the Big Z Luna. Which is a putter. If you haven't heard of those, they're pretty good. And when you're Paul McBeth, pretty much anything that you throw is pretty good. But a lot of our competitors are just going to take something relatively stable, aim at that right side wood line, and just let it rip. This is drifting way left for Väinö. That's OB. That's a misfire for Mäkelä. This is ESP crank for Johansen. He's asking for it to get left. Looks like it punched through the first little bit of trees there. He'll probably be around 45 feet with a look at the basket.
Eagle McMahon lining up a forehand. And it looks like he's going to be going with an S-line DD3.
And this is smooth for McMahon. Out to the left, tracking back right. That's inside circle 1. And ladies and gentlemen, that's how you throw a forehand. Seemed like he wasn't totally pleased with the effort, but I think everyone else on planet Earth would be pleased if they had just thrown that shot. Barsby flipping up to flat, but this is headed left as well. He needs this to get down and quickly. Looks like that is going to be safe, albeit quite a bit left.
Poison ivy's itchy rash ruins the best day outdoors. Zenful gives immediate relief, washes away the toxin, stops the horrific itch. Safe for kids and pets. No downtime. Got poison ivy? Get Zenful. It works.
For the dreamers, the planners, thrill seekers, and chill seekers. For the adventurous, the curious, the creative, and the passionate. For the young and the young at heart. For her, for him, for everyone.
Welcome back, everyone. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, alongside Robert McCall as we're pushing through the front half and now moving into the back half. A lot of the chat board here, of course, following along if you're doing it on the broadcast or using UDisc, or maybe you have a special bat phone to some of the cards out there. There is a little bit of a Paul McBeth tracker as he has just birdied hole 14. And I say that there's a tracker on him because he's one of the few remaining players that are out but challenging that leaderboard at the moment, as we see Väinö to the right of the basket on his approach. McBeth has now carded somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 birdies in the last 8 holes.
8 in the last 9 as well.
Okay, that would be good. So as he's creeping up that leaderboard, unfortunately, none of the players on this card are at the moment challenging that leaderboard.
Yeah, a little bit of a struggle for our feature cards so far today. Not that any of them are playing particularly poorly, just not a whole lot of birdies on the scorecard, playing some relatively conservative golf. Looking back to McBeth, this is reminiscent of his finish at Ledgestone this year. A couple of challengers at the top, and McBeth rattled off, I believe it was 11 in a row, 10 or 11 in a row to complete the event. Pretty incredible stuff from McBeth. Long-range bid for Barsby comes up just short and left. Barsby needs something to lift his spirits now, as he's having a tough day. I believe that's Thunderbird that he threw off the tee there, and just couldn't find a way to get his putter into the basket from about 60 feet.
Here's MJ from almost pin high. As you mentioned, he made it all the way through the rough that he found on his tee shot, but he doesn't connect there. So I'll answer a few of the questions as we're watching Eagle move into position. Yes, we will be live with FPO tomorrow morning, lead card. They'll be at Sunset Hills. And if you're thinking about a top player that you really like to watch, as Eagle cards the birdie, if you're thinking about a top player that is in contention or would likely be in contention, they were probably filmed today, and they will probably be released during post-production coverage tomorrow. Central Coast is out there hustling around. Jomez is out there. The Dynamic Disc crew is out there. So there are 3 or 4 or 5 other cards all being covered today, with post-production all being released tomorrow. So make sure you check all those favorite channels in doing so. And again, thank you to Central Coast for the assist here on the drone previews that we're using this week. Here's hole 11 at Lake Eureka.
Yeah, 300 feet, second easiest hole on the course. Yeah, these holes 9 through 11 are a bit of a break from the rest of the course. 2.58 scoring average. This is a forehand for most of our right-hand competitors. The right-hand backhand turnover is there as well, but it just shapes really well for a forehand. 56% of the MPO field karting the birdie 2 so far today, and only 14% taking the bogey or worse. The only way that you're going to find bogey most likely is if you find out of bounds on the left or the right side, as it does narrow down toward the basket. This is kind of the last difficult hole, or pardon me, the last easy hole before you head to the water tower and then move into the back 6 of the course, which play quite a bit more difficult than this section. McMahon tracking his disc down toward the basket. That is long and OB for McMahon. A little bit of unfortunate ground action for him there. And he even took less than driver. That was an MD5 for McMahon. I believe this is a banger for Michael Johansen. And that's inside circle 2, but not a great shot. All of these top competitors expect to be inside circle 1 on this hole.
Barsby seems to be in pretty good spirits there, even though his round has been a little less than spectacular, as he still sits at even par, 1 birdie, 1 bogey on the day.
And this looks like Firebird for Barsby.
And let's see if that can maybe get him on track, as he's in great position for the birdie.
Väinö told me ahead of time he's going to be throwing H1 V2 here. Something nice and stable, kind of in that hybrid speed. A little bit short, but we'll have 3 putts for birdie and 1 for par.
SmashBoxxTV would like to thank the following sponsors: the PDGA, Infinite Discs, Discraft, the DGA, Prodigy Discs, the City of
How
Peoria.
does that happen?
Väinö from
Bang, bang.
range drains one. Get another look at this with our Sandy Point replay. Nice little Anheuser release from Mäkelä up to the basket, about 50-footer. We're hoping that'll give us a little kickstart on our featured card here today.
MJ not able to follow it up. And this, I believe, is the 3rd time we've seen Eagle McMahon trying to save his par after going out of bounds. And relatively easy short putt there for McMahon, albeit for the par.
This one just, taking 3 here just feels bad. It's right in front of you, and you know there are only more difficult holes coming up.
There we go. Gregg Barsby also finding his smooth release there. That's going to push him just to the 1 under. And moments ago, we see Paul McBeth taking another birdie, and McBeth now 10 down through 15 holes. So he has a chance, if he were to finish strong, he has a chance here to possibly claim sole position in first place if he keeps on the pace that he's on of carding birdies on just about every hole. Yeah. McBeth could be looking at maybe even that 13 under and have an outright lead.
That's right. And like we said before, at Ledgestone, the final round of Ledgestone this year, he rattled off, I don't remember how many it was in a row, a lot, more than 9. I'll
just
take
under
any
18,
number in a
but more
row.
than 9.
Yeah, that's right, somewhere in there. So 13 under, certainly still in play for McBeth. But it looks like unless something crazy happens between now and the end of the day, it looks like we're going to see Emerson Keith on the lead card, coming out with a hot round, 12 under par, 11 birdies, and just the single bogey on the baseball field hole 5 today. Thanks to Udis, I can check and see that he threw out of bounds on that hole, so had to save it from the drop zone. But otherwise, played incredibly clean golf. He missed 1 putt today from circle 2. That was on hole 4, and everything else he 1-putted.
Wow,
that's an incredible putting day for Keith.
It certainly is, and we certainly could also see his teammate, his legit teammate, that is, in Kevin Jones. As Kevin Jones, he sits at 9 under through 15, so he has obviously just 16 through 18 to play. He took the eagle on hole 14. We saw the chat board light up about that with a huge throw-in for Kevin. So Kevin, again, one of those guys people keep talking about when he's going to win Worlds. That's right. Not if, but a matter of when he will win Worlds. And Kevin, if he can rattle off 2 or 3 more birdies in these final few holes, I think we would also see him then on that lead card. I think Ryan Draper and the rest of the legit team would say that is definitely all of legit and then some, if we could see both Kevin and Emerson on top of that leaderboard going into day number 2 here at the PDGA World Championships.
That's right. Just like you said, it seems like Jones is poised to break out. He is there, and he's starting to get those bigger wins as well, as we've seen this year. We'll see if this is the year that he finally breaks through, or if we have to wait, 1 or 2 more. But if the betting houses are open, put your money on Kevin Jones to win a Worlds sometime. It's going to happen.
It certainly is. What also is going to happen? We've got a little sideline reporting coming in from Dixon Jowers. I think we're ready to hear from him now.
All right, so our players are just getting done with hole 11, taking the walk around to hole 12, the famous water tower hole here at Lake Eureka. And they're doing okay so far. Nothing terrible, but also nothing great. And you might think that that pressure would start to build on our players, but not really with this group. And speaking with Eagle before the round, he said he knows that the back 9 is where all the scoring happens. So he's just trying to maintain, not get beat up on the front 9, and then make his move on the back 9. As far as Barsby goes, I mean, he's laid back. He's been to this rodeo before, so to speak. MJ, I asked him before the round, I said, do you know that this is your 390th sanctioned tournament? And he said, that sounds about right, but that's just the sanctioned ones. That doesn't count club events and singles and doubles and match play and all that stuff. So these guys have been through this before. Väinö, on the other hand, hasn't really been through this before, but he's handling himself fine. So I would expect these guys to really start to get into the groove and be ready to put some low scores up on the back 9.
You get a great look at the water tower hole there, hole 12. One of the iconic holes out here at Eureka Lake. A controversial hole, perhaps.
Again, like so many of the other holes, we have seen a few variations of it throughout the years. We've seen wider landing zones. We've seen it pinched. We've seen drop zones, non-drop zones, all those types of things here out at Lake Eureka. And I think it's getting as close to dialed in as we can get. And a good-looking shot here by, and it is a little short. But with that rollout, he may have a look at the basket. I don't think that the water tower, the stem of it, will in fact be in his way. So as long as you can get at least to the water tower or anywhere beyond it, inbounds is a good spot to be here. The worst spot is directly behind the water tower, of course,
well, actually,
on the short side.
The actual worst spot is anywhere out of bounds.
But
But yeah,
No, I think
it's pretty bad back there.
Depending on where you are, it may be tougher to get up and down from the wrong side of the water tower, actually.
I'll give you that. Väinö with a smooth hyzer. This looks like it has all the distance needed.
Yeah.
That is parked. Taking all the trouble out of play there. One part of this hole that's a challenge that you don't see on camera, that you only see and feel in person, is that this tee is oriented at an uphill slope. So when you get toward the front of it, it feels like, all right, I'm ready to plant, and your foot is on the ground a lot more quickly than you anticipate. And so as any disc golfer knows, throwing from an uphill lie is substantially more difficult to gain distance, especially when throwing uphill after that. And so that is one added challenge here on hole 12.
Looks like the wind is pushing from left to right. Eagle's got a really good angle on this.
And that's long for McMahon.
Yeah, a great angle as he came in just above the basket, but a little too much power, just like we saw him on the previous hole. That was a forehand on the previous hole, of course, but on point, just too much power. Here's MJ.
Most competitors not having to deal with the thought of OB long here. That's safe for Johansen. We'll have one headed to the drop zone in Eagle McMahon.
Bruce Willis was a ghost. Gwyneth Paltrow's head is in the box. Snape kills Dumbledore. Mrs. Bates was dead. Ross and Rachel end up together. Rosebud was the sled.
McMahon from the drop zone has swung this a bit wider than he'd like. He's inside the circle. It likely won't be a problem. But that's going to leave him just a little bit of work left to collect his bogey 4 here.
And we see the back of the screen all dressed in Discraft postering and the unique designs that we've seen throughout the years. I apologize, I forget the starter's name. That is the gentleman who actually calls off all the names for our competitors. Again, I apologize for not recalling his name at the moment, but I know he has been out here a number of years calling off the players on hole number 1. Great to see. Last night, I don't know if you were at the players meeting.
Didn't make it in town. We got in pretty late last night.
Did not see you. One of the cool features of the players meeting is they had the announcer from the Chicago Bulls call off.
Oh,
yeah. Nice.
Should have been calling off Michael Johansen.
They should have been.
He's used to a different MJ.
Yes. There you go. Good call.
As if on cue, our own MJ, Michael Johansen, throws in for his birdie, forehand turnover.
What?
Yeah, let's take a Sandy Point Resort. Another look at this shot. Lines up quickly and just says, you know what? Putting backhand is too hard. Let's use the forehand. Ring it up, MJ.
Oh, and Barsby just, wow. Not even close. Barsby has a smirk on his face, but he knows something is just not dialed there. And I can't believe what we saw from MJ, not because it went in, but he was throwing a forehand.
Oh, goodness. It's just such a tough spot to be where backhand putt will never get to that hole. Incredible stuff from Michael Johansen. So this is going to be McMahon for his bogey. That's going to drop him at best to 2 under par on the day. That is what it's going to be. He'll head to the final 6, sitting at 2 under par, needing a lot of birdies to maintain decent position. But okay, so the Chicago Bulls announcer.
They had the official Chicago Bulls announcer name off the 10 of the most active volunteers and staff members here of the tournament. I thought it was a very nice touch, and it was very fitting. MJ, of all people, then has the highlight shot as he throws in. But a very nice touch here at last night's opening ceremonies. We also saw Dwight Powell and Joel Freeman performed the national anthem in front of everyone. They kind of did the pair of them were up on stage, and it was great to see and to listen to. And then some other accolades were, of course, given out, including Player of the Year, Points Award winners, so on and so forth. As some of you had seen, Double G, Garrett Gerthy, had received the Bob West Sportsman of the Year award as one of the many awards that were given out. I know Zoe Andyke of T9 Dynamic Disc was giving out the Educational Disc Golf Experience. She was given out that award for teaching and pushing disc golf forward. And Paul Macbeth, Paige Pierce given Player of the Year awards, to name a few more.
I thought that you had won Player of the Year this year.
No, I did win the Educational Educator award in 2008, but
you did it, man. I haven't won any awards from the PDGA, so you're up 1-0 this time.
I challenge you to the Best Hair Award.
Okay,
we'll see
that's
if we can get that one on board.
I think we're already losing to Clemens and James Conrad in those.
That's for sure. Well, we're seeing here again, Paul Macbeth had just birdied hole 16. That's going to push him to 11 under. Kevin Jones sits at 10 under, so he's found himself on that lead card. As of right now, as we're starting to move into the last few holes for those gentlemen, we have very lengthy walks that we're going to see as our players right now are moving over to hole number 13. Then they have to walk all the way around the lake, or the edge of the lake, I should say, to get to the last 1/3 of the course. And they'll do the same exchange from 17 back to 18. But James Conrad, we were talking about, sits at that 10 under. Chris Clemens sits at 8 under. Philo Brathwaite, Austin Hannum are in a tie for 6th at the moment at that 8 under. And AB, Anthony Barella, who I remember, I think back to a few weeks ago, he really struggled in rounds 1 and 2 out at Eureka during the Ledgestone Open, Insurance Open. I had a chat with him, and just things weren't clicking, and then he went out and just shredded round 3 and made a huge jump. I forget the exact under par score he had, but he made a huge jump on that final day. So looks like whatever it was, maybe he carried that back into this opening round here at the World Championships. Steve Rico, my pal, Little Spoon as I like to call him, he's come in and he's sitting at a tie for 9th, along with another old school player and Steve Brinster, who I know celebrated a birthday a few days ago. Steve Brinster sits at 6 under along with Steve Rico. So
yeah,
that rounds out our top 10.
Yeah, great to see some names that have been at the top of the sport for a long time, and Rico and Brinster up there, and then some new young guns like Barella. Austin Hannum's been around for a little bit, but really surged kind of into the top of our sport this year. Philo Brathwaite been around for a while as well, and then Paul Macbeth. We haven't seen a tournament in a long time where he hasn't been up near the top. But yeah, to see Emerson Keith holding down the clubhouse lead right now is a cool thing. First round, some of our competitors really putting in some work.
Yeah. Paul Macbeth just a moment ago, bogeys, hole 17.
Wow.
So, I mean, if you want to start the washed up chant now.
Yeah, I heard he's not even that good anymore. Did you hear that?
But he does bogey hole 17. We have to assume that, I know we can click on it on UDisc, but I'm going to assume that he found the water on his tee shot, and then from the drop zone likely got up and down. I'm sure you guys can confirm that. But takes the bogey on 17. So you saw it happen in the live scoring here, moving from that 11 back down to 10. He's obviously still in really good position to hopefully find himself on that lead card tomorrow, depending what he can do to close out on hole 18.
That's right. And so once again, we want to say thank you so much to all of you who have tuned in. We're right around 5,500 live viewers right now on a Tuesday, first round. Incredible stuff. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, we'd love if you like and share out this stream, subscribe to SmashBoxxTV, and ring that bell for notifications so that you can be notified when we're live for the remaining rounds this week at the 2019 PDGA World Championships.
And with that, we're back. And I'd like to also thank our presenting sponsor here of the PDGA World Championships, and that is, in fact, Infinite Disc. Thank you for all your support, Infinite Disc.
After a long walk, this is Väinö Mäkelä on the tee. He is headed right of the tree in the middle of the fairway. Big hyzer. Anything that isn't right behind that tree is good, and that is picture perfect. That should be a relatively routine hyzer for his second shot. Johansen with a similar shape, missing that tree to the left. He might have a difficult angle from there depending on how far past the tree that flew. That was D1 for Väinö off the box, and then Zeus off the box for Johansen. I believe this is Scorpius for Gregg Barsby, and that is even better than Väinö's drive. In front of that tree opens up a nice, easy hyzer around to the second landing zone.
As we're about to watch Eagle throw his tee shot, you just have to admire the beauty out here as they're throwing over this very treacherous portion of the lake on hole 13.
And most players taking big-time distance drivers here. Eagle opting for the FD3, something nice and stable. That's perfect position.
We again have another long walk, unfortunately, for our players. They're going to move around the lake. Here's another shout out and thanks I believe we're going to have to our super chatters and such in a few moments. But it's been a great opening round. Our feature card on the live side, not quite giving us the fireworks that we're hoping for. They still have a third of the course to play, so we'll see how they close things out. And, of course, we're going to continue to watch our other cards come in. Kevin Jones, as mentioned on the board, thank you guys. Kevin Jones, someone had said, is the only player to be bogey free here. And so there's a good reason why we're seeing him sitting in that second place right now as he sits at 11 under. He birdied hole 17 and now sits 11 under.
Wow.
Yeah, and that includes his eagle that he took on hole number 14.
Bogey free is crazy out here.
It really is. It's just incredible to see. And Kevin just even takes that par to finish out. Like I said, we will see him on the lead card. Some people have also been talking. I know we spoke of Kale and the illness that he's faced with. He was somewhat of a late withdrawal. Also, in the last day or two, Big Jeremy Colling had made it official that he had to withdraw from the event. He said he was not feeling well even when he was at the European Open, and he ultimately kind of literally limped through the final few holes in the final day out there.
Finish, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's usually how I finish when I'm injured.
I know.
If
I'm not feeling it, yeah. If I'm not feeling it, I'll just, I'm okay with that, chase card finish, so to speak. But Big Germ, challenged by sounds like sciatic nerve, is pinched or something of that nature, and of course we wish him the best, but. Big Germ certainly torn up about the idea of not being able to compete here at this major as well.
Yeah, that stuff is no joke. And any sort of back or spinal injuries, you cannot take those lightly whatsoever. Another thing to look at that's just incredible for Kevin Jones right now, he's had 5 Circle 2 opportunities for birdie. He's converted on only one of those, so putting 20% from Circle 2. But more impressive even than that, 0 OBs on the day.
Yeah.
Incredible driving day for Jones so far. 100% scramble, 100% inside Circle 1X, 89% fairway hits, and 82% Circle 2 in regulation. That is incredible stuff. Usually a good weekend for our top guys and girls is right around that 60 or 70% mark, let alone at a championship course like this. 82% is a phenomenal Circle 2 in regulation stat.
I feel like maybe by the end of the day, someone like, I don't know, maybe Verizon will want to sponsor him because he is dialed in.
Yeah. That sounds good. That sounds good. Maybe instead a rotary phone company would enjoy that.
Yeah, I'm not. I was afraid that the reference may not translate well to our, our younger generations.
For the children,
for the kids out there. But no, seriously though, Kevin Jones, great round. Excited to see him finish out. Let's hope that he can finish out with a birdie. And as I mentioned earlier, he may even be tied with Emerson Keith by the end of the round.
And this is Zeus from Michael Joe once again out over the water. And that's well executed. He'll have a shot of similar distance to approach the green.
As a little bit of a behind-the-scenes side note, this is, in fact, one of the more challenging holes, I would say, for any of the camera crews to cover,
Yes.
because of the blind shots that go ultimately up and around if the players are playing those wide hyzers as they're lining up right now. Sometimes you can have as many as 2 or 3 cameras out on a hole like this, and it can be one of the most difficult for us to give you the best possible lines and coverage in the sight lines, so on and so forth.
So this is going to be Väinö's second out over the water. This is really just a placement shot. Our players are too far from the basket to try and attack the third landing zone with any sort of confidence. So this is smooth hyzer for Väinö. That's actually gotten a little farther up the hill than he would like, but he's still in a good spot to throw a hyzer out over the water again. McMahon seems to be taking a bit of extra time on this hyzer. This is a great angle. It's going to be a fine spot. The second shot is probably the least important of the 3 before you get to the basket. You can land just past the tree that we see in the background here, or you can land way past it, and each of those will give you an opportunity to approach the green just from a slightly different distance, but almost all from the same angle.
We're pushing just into 4:30 local time for all those that have joined us around the U.S. and throughout the rest of the world. It's still early evening, or late afternoon, I should say, at 4:30.
Barsby also finding a good spot. And now our players are just going to walk around a set of trees to the second landing zone. They've got a similarly sloped hill the basket sits on that they'll have to approach for their look at a birdie 4. Anything coming in on too sharp of a hyzer angle could have some rollaway potential. So in general, the closer the players are to the water, the flatter that they can bring their disc into the basket. That's certainly the preferable position.
Well, Robert, I know that you will be out there performing some team duties as a team manager and encouraging and walking along with some of your team members tomorrow morning on the FPO side of things. So I wanted to quickly check in with FPO. I know we talked about them briefly earlier in the show, but right now, Evelina Salonen had just busted out the hot round, shooting a 7 under over there at Northwood this morning. She had a single bogey. That was on hole number 3. She took the bogey. And then we have a 3-way tie for second place at 1 under par with Katrina Allen, Valerie Mundahano, and Erica Stinchcomb. And Erica, very pleased with her efforts. All of the women should be pretty pleased with those efforts, as we see Erica, arguably one of the cleanest scorecards outside of Evelina's here today. So just a great breakout round for Evelina, or well, for Evelina, but for Erica specifically, just going out there and getting it done as we rejoin the men. And that looks like it dipped back into the water and out of bounds.
That was from Michael Johansen. That hit inbounds, so he'll be taking it up there, but he'll be putting for 5 instead of 4.
And just to further clarify what Eagle lines up, the women will be moving over to Sunset tomorrow morning. That is also where our booth is located. So the women will play at that course as the men move to Northwood tomorrow, and the men do play a different configuration than the women at Northwood. Here's Eagle's hyzer on his 3rd shot.
We're unable to see where McMahon's disc landed there, but it looks as if he settled inside circle 1. Väinö has tucked this too far to the left and has hit the last guardian tree on the left side. He will be outside circle 2 for his look at birdie 4. With the green sloping away, that's probably a layup for most people. Maybe he's feeling crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, and at this point, he is leading the card, although he sits at that 3 under par, and we'll have to see where his confidence is at. Looks like Alyssa Van Lanen out there getting some shots of our reigning champion, Gregg Barsby. Is he officially the reigning champion until the champion taps in their final putt, whoever that may be, come Saturday? Is that
that's right?
That's the correct timeline on that?
That's right. In the meantime, he should have all the parties that he can
Yes.
and celebrate all that he can. Oh, and a beautiful approach by Barsby. That is settled underneath the basket for his birdie.
What a gorgeous view out at Lake Eureka. For those that are wondering, Lake Eureka is located about 35 to 40 minutes on the northeast corner of Peoria. So if you're in Peoria, Illinois, there's Pekin, Illinois, where we're going to be competing at. And then if you're just a little bit east of that, that's where you're in Morton, Illinois, which is where the newly redesigned Northwood Gold course is. And then north of Northwoods is where you would find Lake Eureka. Really dialing in that geography. There's going to be a pop quiz later, Robert.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for the heads up.
Not so much of a pop quiz if I just told you about it.
Yeah, it's more just a quiz now, but that's fine. Gotta say, looking back at Alyssa Van Lanen taking photos of Daniel Reynoso, I so much respect the summer vibe that he's bringing. He's got his summer shirt on. It's a bright color, maybe salmon colored. Who knows? He's killing the summer game, and I respect it as a caddy.
When you talk about that Minnesota nice, Daniel and the rest of the UDIS crew all very much embody it.
Väinö looks like he is running this.
Oh, he wants it.
Okay, well,
yeah,
just
nice layup, Robert.
Death behind the basket, definite roll away. Let's just take another look at this birdie putt from Väinö Mäkelä. That's incredible stuff. I'm always interested in watching. So different people putt different ways, right? Everyone's putting form looks different. Väinö chooses to keep his left hand on his hip with a putter in it. It's very interesting.
It's like a quick draw.
It looks like he's being a little sassy as he throws it in.
He's being a lot sassy from way downtown there. And MJ able to convert on his putt. What a great putt. Of course, again, thank you to Sandy Point Resort for the replays here. Gregg Barsby running defense on the cameraman.
McMahon is in for his 4, and this is a drop in for Barsby after a fantastic approach.
Eagle says, I can block the camera better. All in good fun. We're going to move over to hole 14. Not an easy one by any means. We've seen plenty of trouble here throughout the years. Robert, what are they trying to do on this 805-footer?
Yeah, this is playing as our 3rd most difficult hole. Players are looking to navigate the trees down the middle where the drone is right now and land somewhere around the tree that is just on the left of the screen. Anywhere in front of that is great. There is OB in the water as well as OB on the left side of the fairway. Their approach shot from there, if they clear, there's a little ditch that can cause some bad footing. If they clear that ditch, they've got about 400 into this basket, which is also on a sloped green, but a relatively routine 400 or so foot hyzer for our top competitors. However, like I said, playing is the third most difficult hole today. 23% of the field carding the birdie or better, while 40% card the par. I say birdie or better because we have one gentleman who carded the Eagle 2 today, Kevin Jones, on a hot streak, threw in from approximately 384 feet. So he was definitely in front of the ditch that we were talking about to approach the basket. So incredible stuff for Kevin. That's certainly a jump start to the end of his round as we see him charging and putting for par, now in for par on hole 18. That's going to close out his round of 52, 11 under par. That's going to guarantee his spot on the lead card tomorrow.
We also see that Paul McBeth is in, and Paul pars on the final hole. He is at 10 under. So your current leaders are Emerson Keith, Kevin Jones, James Conrad, and Paul McBeth. 12, 11, 10, 10.
Väinö keeping this flat, but now this is moving left, and he needs that to get down. It has not done so, and that's going to be OB. However, he's in a decent spot to approach the green, so his third will probably give him a chance to save par.
I'm going to make a bold prediction or statement and claim that I believe this would be the only eagle ever seen on this hole was Kevin Jones throw in.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Ago. Somebody can run some numbers somewhere.
Gregg Barsby turning this just a bit, and this is beautiful. Over the ditch and unfortunately just behind that tree. However, from our perspective where we can see, it looks like he's in a good enough spot to throw a hyzer out around everything and approach the green.
Very low and almost awkward looking release there by Eagle McMahon.
Yeah, almost a total miss from McMahon. He messaged me that he was going to take Instinct off of this box, which is a new fairway driver from Discmania. Very straight, lots of glide. And that's just a miss from McMahon. This is tracking left for Johansen, but ultimately settles safely.
Zuca is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuca can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag. Zuca is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuca can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag.
I can throw this disc around the world in one shot.
Never play disc golf too far into the jungle. There may be cheetahs.
Someone on your card can't recall if they threw a 6 or a 7. It was probably an 8.
See? Stay getting birdies, my friends.
Introducing TrueDisc, an innovative new scorekeeping app for your smartphone. TrueDisc ensures that you get the most accurate data possible at all times. Not sure if you walked a little bit too far when you measured your last throw? TrueDisc stamps every misrepresented throw with our trademarked Internet Distance badge before you can share it to social media. Buy TrueDisc in the App Store or Google Play for just 4 easy payments of $19.99 plus shipping and handling. But wait, there's more! Call in the next 20 minutes and upgrade to TrueDisc Pro for free. TrueDisc Pro allows you to get honest advice from the AI Pro of your choice.
Hey, Germ, think I can make it over the pond?
Yeah, sure, Simon. Go for it.
Eagle wondering just how far away he is on this hole. Maybe he needs TrueDisc. And again, that just seemed light. I don't want to say it wasn't aggressive, or maybe it wasn't and it was a little bit of a misfire, but something seemed a little off with Eagle there.
So I'll tell you, the tree that was just to his right, the forked tree, is about 500 feet from the basket. So he was just behind that, probably threw it about 460 with water to the right and OB to the left. But usually you expect to see somebody like McMahon take a much more aggressive shot at that green.
And we look at all of the scoring there, everyone with the F next to their name, just meaning that the round is final and they are in the clubhouse. And at this point, just not looking likely that anyone's going to be able to come up from this card and find themselves positioned onto that lead card. But I mean, then again, maybe we could see somebody rattle off a few eagles. That's all that's needed.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen one on this hole.
Yeah.
Johansen forced to play a shot just to the left side of the tree in front of him, and that's covered a lot of distance. Outside circle 2, he's in a good spot to get the easy par and maybe give it a bit of a half run for birdie if you'd like. Väinö's disc is just a bit farther up from Johansen's, and that's going to be a difficult spot for him. He's either going to have to place something tight to this tree just on the left that flexes out and comes back to the left, or he's going to have to trust something on a huge hyzer out over the water. Väinö with a fantastic approach up to the green. He's gone a bit long of the basket. Be putting back toward it for his par. Gregg Barsby is going to be last to throw his approach. The tree in front of him. It's going to be probably in his mind, but not really in his way.
I don't see too much action on the branches or the leaves that are hanging down below. Maybe a little bit of rippling in the water, but not too much.
Yeah, and this is the portion of the course where usually the wind is the strongest. Barsby spikes his disc under the basket again. He's going to have a collective 6 feet worth of putts over the last 2 holes, both for birdie.
Well, we see him making an adjustment. I know there's plenty of top pros that have uttered throughout the years, well, if you're struggling with your putting, the number one answer is just get it closer. And
that's good strategy.
And Barsby, we saw, he had thrown a few putts where he wasn't connecting on anything. It looked like he was really completely off of his mark. I think back to the water tower hole where at no point did that putt look good. And I'm not trying to disrespect him in any way, but he even realizes there wasn't something, wasn't clicking for him. So 13 and 14 here, just spike right next to the basket.
Yeah.
Anytime you can slam dunk it, you're doing something right, especially for birdie.
Yeah, if you're lacking confidence on the green, throw it closer. You'll gain it back really quick.
So your pro tips here at SmashBoxxTV.
Courtesy of Gregg Barsby. And McMahon gets up near the basket there. That's going to be about 12 feet remaining for his par. After his drive, I don't think he's going to be extremely disappointed with par, but on the tee, he would have told you he's trying to collect birdie here. This will be Väinö from outside circle one, putting back at the basket. And that is low for Väinö. He'll have to settle for par. McMahon is in for par.
As our players are going to be tapping in here in just a moment. I believe we're also going to have an on-course check-in and update from none other than Dixon Jowers. We're ready to go to him now. What do you got, Dixon?
All right, and as everybody is tapping out on 15, or it should be on 14, we've got 4 holes to go. And to go back to what we were talking about earlier, they are officially alone on the course. The last group besides them is putting out on 18 right now. It feels weird. You can hear voices of just random people talking across the lake. There's nothing else happening here. So we've got our Väinö is leading the card right now at 4 under, so not super hot scores, but all 4 of these holes are birdieable coming home. Let's see if they can catch a little fire here in the quiet and the peace of Lake Eureka and bump those scores up heading into round 2.
All right. Well, thanks to Dixon. And I've got to admit, I can understand what he's talking about in that when you're on the course and you have that final card that's out there, usually there's people either following it or there's a lot of kind of hubbub and things going on around out there. So to have it be relatively calm and quiet out on the course, I'm sure does feel a little bit weird. Unfortunately, these players aren't exactly tearing it up right now. If you saw a few of them at that 7 or 8 or that 10 under par, I think more people would maybe be gravitating back out to follow them. But if they're following along, either watching us or following along directly on UDisc, they're like, they're 2 or 3 under. I'm not sure that I want to backtrack and make the hike around the lake to go consume that in person. So I can understand how things might be a little bit slow out on the course at the moment.
That's right. And I want to reiterate once again, it's Tuesday. A lot of people are at work right now. They've got lives, jobs, kids, things like that. I think they'll probably set those aside for Friday and Saturday's action. But I'm not surprised to see not a huge gallery here out on our first day, considering that it's the early part of the week.
That, and I'm going to go ahead and I'll make a plug for the event, and that I believe everyone's heading over here to Sunset Hills because there's also a fly mart that's going to be going on here tonight and taking place just outside the doors of where we're at. So I'm sure there's some people that have filtered here as we're watching Gregg Barsby throw on hole number 15 to this slightly elevated basket. I do love Dixon's enthusiasm. You can tell he's out there. He's pulling for people to kind of turn things around or to get things started or possibly still come in with some good scores. I'm not sure that even Dixon's willingness or his enthusiasm is going to be enough to get these guys going, but it just very well may pan out in these last few holes. We'll see.
That's a good skip up for Eagle. That's kind of a scary angle for Eagle to come into this hill on. A lot of times you see those kind of catch an anti-skip and go left, but he is in a good spot. Oh, and this is a beautiful shape for Michael Johansen. He just needs that to sit flat. It's done so well. That's going to be right around the edge of circle one, putting up at this elevated basket. So a couple of different attacks here. Eagle going with a DD3 on forehand. Väinö opting for the mid-range and the M3. Michael Johansen using the ESP Sting, an understable fairway driver, to get up to this basket. And this is a good angle for Mäkelä. Tracking beautifully. He's going to be on the right side of the basket. Good look at birdie.
We'll be back after a word from these sponsors.
McMahon, unfortunately, has a birdhouse pretty much directly between his lie and the basket.
I will reserve any puns for later in the week at this point.
Yes, thank you. He's just going to go over the top of it and nearly goes over the top of the basket. He's going to catch the band on the left side. McMahon clearly disappointed with the effort, but not really showing outward frustration, just throwing a shot and moving on to the next.
As noted a little earlier, Eagle McMahon, actually, this is where he officially had made the decision to withdraw. He had thrown a left-handed tee shot here back at the Ledgestone Insurance Open, and then moments later, I caught up with him, and he decided to withdraw from the event at that point. And in the exact same spot for Gregg Barsby off the top of the basket.
Johansen from just outside circle one.
There it is.
And why not in the dead center of the basket?
Our Sandy Point Resort and Disc Golf Ranch replay.
Yeah, this was just on the middle of the pole all the way in.
Check out sandypt.com. I'm going to go ahead and give an official plug in that. It is one of my favorite places on the entire planet for disc golf, and I've been up there for almost nearly 2 decades of playing disc golf up in that property in northern Wisconsin. So for whatever it's worth, it's got my stamp of approval. And a great birdie there by Väinö. Barsby and McMahon will be tapping in for their pars. We have a short walk as we're going to move over to hole 16.
Six, 16 is playing, I'd have to check this, but it's in the easier par 4s on the course. We have several easier par 3s. I think this is probably the easiest relative to par 4 at a 3.79 scoring average. Players are looking to land their drives just past the tree that the drone is flying past now. Anything beyond that is just bonus. They can then throw a forehand approach up to this basket that's guarded by a tree on, sorry, 2 trees on the right, one that sits at about 65 feet away. The ground does slope from from the tee down to the basket, pretty much for the entire fairway and green. So there is rollaway potential behind if the player's disc is a little too fast coming into the green. So far today, we've had 39% of the MPO field carding the birdie to, pardon me, birdie 3, 44% taking the par. The real trouble is if a disc is overturned, it can either get into the hedges on the right side, which are incredibly thick, or cut roll out of bounds left. And as the ground does run downhill from tee to green, it also runs right to left the entire way as well.
And we've seen some very incredible shots. It looks like Väinö is lining up a roller at the moment. I've seen Double G put this one all the way down to the basket just a few weeks ago when he was here for the Ledgestone. If you're going to get all the way down there for an eagle 2, that is going to have to be your play. Let's see what Väinö can do.
Yeah, this is too early right. That's going to crash into the hedges there. And there is a Mando on the right side of the fairway on a light pole up near the basket so that players can't just throw a hyzer from there. He's still going to have to play out on the left side here.
Interesting to see Barsby going with a forehand as opposed to, say, a backhand roller. And that was low, and it didn't look like it really crested the hill like it needed to.
Yeah, and Barsby is exactly right. If that's 4 inches higher, that is way down the fairway. This is going to be another DD3 from Eagle McMahon. This will be a flip-up forehand.
Needs to stay out. Maybe I was just going to say roll back out of there, and that is not likely the way those will suck in discs from that right side. We're going to move down the fairway here on 16 after a word from these sponsors. And MJ going with the roller for his second shot. I really like the play here.
Wow, and this is tracking. Yeah, that's going to be pretty close to the basket. Wow, what a shot from Johansen. He's going to find himself about 40 or 45 feet away.
Yeah, deep of the pin here. What a great shot by Michael Joe. So he does throw something other than a comment. Wow.
First time today.
I guess now that I think about it, that may or may not have been one. Actually, I don't believe that it was. But yes, MJ, of course, in his signature series comment, if anyone wants to go out and support him, that's a great way to do so.
Barsby with a forehand approach. All he really needed was to crest that hill, and he just catches the top of it. That's going to be outside circle 2, and That's in that Barsby kind of throw-in range, maybe right around 100 feet, but certainly not the shot you want to have to throw on a shorter par 4 like this.
Take another quick look at our MPO leaderboard, and tomorrow we should see, well, unfortunately we will not see here from the live perspective, but they will be featured on the lead card. Emerson Keith, Kevin Jones, James Conrad, and Paul Macbeth, all coming out with double-digit rounds to open up here. And, of course, a very talented and exciting chase card as well in Chris Clemens, Philo Brathwaite, Austin Hannum, and Anthony Barella. Third card, which I believe is going to be covered by Dynamic Discs, should be featuring Steve Rico, Steve Brinster, and 2 other gentlemen. If I scroll down, I can also look and see we may have Nate Sexton was right in the mix of things, along with Kelvin Heimberg, so we'll see how that all kind of shakes out. Matt Oram and Silver Lot all in that territory as well.
Final's going to have to stretch out a bit from the hedges here. Throw this patent pending up toward the basket. This is a difficult shape to land on a downhill slope. Yeah, and that's just low out of his hand. He's going to be forced to lay up from there. McMahon it is just unfortunately just hopped up into the hedges instead of a lot of rollers will catch something on the bottom there and just sit right down. Unfortunately, his punched in, so he's going to be forced to take a knee kind of to straddle out here. Looks as if he's been doing some disc golf strong flexibility workouts to be able to get into the bushes here.
Are you shouting out Seth Muncie over at Disc Golf Strong? Sure sounds like it.
No, man. But also, yes, you should check him out. Seth Muncie at Disc Golf Strong. He knows what's going on, working with some of our sport's top athletes. He absolutely knows his stuff. The Eagle fights through that guardian tree. Will land inside circle 1.
I thought some of you may know I'm partially or almost completely deaf in my right ear, and for a moment there I thought I was going through a hearing test. I kept hearing a constant beep come in and out. It sounds like it was possibly something taking place out on the course.
It sounds like somebody's car is not pleased with them. I guess I should stop saying that Väinö's going to lay up, because I get that ultimately that might have been a layup, but it had the speed of something that could have reached the basket if it was a bit higher. Barsby from outside circle 2. Low for Barsby again, and he's kind of raises his hands incredulously, just confused at what has unfolded for him today. Barsby, a much more talented player than his scorecard is going to show today. After an incredible roller, here's Johansen putting back up at the basket for his 3. Oh, that was one that Johansen could have promised was in. Unfortunately, was just a bit high.
We've seen now 3 putts in the last 2 holes hit right off the top of that band, like dead center. Solid comeback putt for Gregg Barsby.
This is McMahon for his birdie. Dead center. That'll move him to 4 under par on the day.
Eagle McMahon, when his putter is on point, just looks so effortless.
Yes.
And just so smooth. We've seen him put together such incredible rounds and takes down some big tournaments. We'll see how he comes back for the rest of the week. This a little bit of a slow opening round. We do have 4 rounds to play. Of course, we still have to finish out 17 and 18. Neither are an easy walk in the park. What's the plan on 17?
17 is right in the middle of the road as far as difficulty goes. 300 feet, playing at a 3.01 scoring average. Players just have water carry straight to the basket. This shot plays just slightly downhill, so it feels about like a 300-foot shot. Getting to the basket is the easy part, but if you go just a bit long, there's a walking path behind that is out of bounds, and obviously the water short is out of bounds. All out of bounds shots go to the drop zone, which is over to the right. It's probably a 130-foot shot or something like that up to the basket. Pardon me, 175 I now see on the course map. Not really a spot where you can try and throw it in to save your 3. So we see 48% of the open field carding the birdie 2, only 13% carding par 3s, as most of the people who go out of bounds, or most of the people taking bogey are people who went out of bounds. 39% of the field taking bogey or worse.
And our dedicated viewers and fans are calling for an ace. I'd love to see it as well.
McMahon with a high forehand. This is going to be right of the basket. But that's settled safely, and he's inside the circle putting for 2.
Seems to be dropping quickly. Oh, and it skips up off the water and inbounds from Michael Joe. And you see that wind pushing what might be a little bit of a left to right or almost at a tail, maybe just over their left shoulder and out of Michael Joe's hand. I wasn't sure that had enough power, and it hits off the water and skips inbounds.
Väinö opting for the A2 overstable approach disc here. Approach he has done nicely.
Quite effective as he's within 15 feet.
You got to think this is Firebird for Barsby, just on a nice forehand out to the left. And this is low left for Barsby. He needs that to get up. There's an OB line right over there that he flirted with. It looks as if he's safe. We've got a bit of a long walk, and we will find out shortly.
Introducing TrueDisc, an innovative new scorekeeping app for your smartphone. TrueDisc ensures that you get the most accurate data possible at all times. Not sure if you walked a little bit too far when you measured your last throw? TrueDisc stamps every misrepresented throw with our trademarked Internet Distance Badge before you can share it to social media. Buy TrueDisc in the App Store or Google Play for just 4 easy payments of $19.99 plus shipping and handling. But wait, there's more! Call in the next 20 minutes and upgrade to TrueDisc Pro for free. TrueDisc Pro allows you to get honest advice from the AI Pro of your choice.
Hey, Germ, think I can make it over the pond?
Yeah, sure, Simon. Go for it.
I'm Andrew.
You know what? Go for it, but go for it with a Big Germ Thunderbird. That way you can buy another one after you throw this in the water.
Paige, should I throw a putter or a mid-range here?
So what is going to give me the most confidence to hit the gap? Will it be the soft beat of a putter? Will it be the sharper edge of a mid-range? Everyone was cheering Mugs and Smugs. Man, it was so awesome. One of the best moments of my life.
Paige, I'm gonna go ahead and throw.
Hey, Eric, should I throw a felon here?
Felons are awesome!
Well, yeah, but I mean, is it the right disc for the shot?
Felons are awesome!
All right! Hannah, what did I get there?
You got a 7, Dave.
Put me down for a 5.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Go to udisc.com and use the code TrueDisc to get the real UDisc Pro free for 1 month.
Whatever you guys call. Cool. Yeah. So that was inside the margin of error too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's him. Got that Feldberg blade rule.
Right.
You know, it's touch and grab.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a little random small dress patch underneath. There's not much of one.
Not even a question.
All right, looks like Michael Joe is going to be deemed inbounds. It was a little closer than what we could tell on the initial drive or the initial spot, but the group ultimately deems him inbounds. And,
And he just rings it up.
He's like, oh yeah, no
4
big deal.
seconds later.
Sandy Point replay, Michael Joe. Getting a close call and then taking advantage of it, making sure to capitalize, I should say. I don't want to say quite taking advantage of. This is to push Barsby to 4 under par. There it is.
I'd say that's a much needed conversion for Barsby. Just a tough day for him so far, but good to write down a few more birdies.
Eagle from 29 feet. Also converts. So very impressive here on hole 17 as these guys are starting to, they're just getting warmed up. That's
right.
I feel like they just,
it took 16 and a half holes to get there, but now we're in business.
To complete the star frame. And Väinö, 2 birdies in the last 3 holes. He's leading the card at 5 under par. They're going to have a brief walk over to hole number 18. The banners that you saw in the background, or the feather flags and banners that you saw a moment ago in the background, that's actually right where hole number 18. 18 and 13 essentially share a teeing area. It's not quite the exact same tee pad, but they share a teeing area, and they're, of course, going in 180 degree opposite directions as we're going to move through and wrap up today's round. I want to say it was a very exciting day. Unfortunately, not necessarily fireworks on our card, but we did see some very exciting. And if you tune in and you look at some post-production, if that's a thing for you, Central Coast and Beyond will have that tomorrow along with Joe Mez, Dynamic Disc, and so on. But hole 18, very tough finishing hole. It's 711 feet. It's a par 4, and it's really, truly about position. At 718, we know that 2 shots, no big deal for these guys in terms of the actual length. It's how much can you bite off on that first drive, but more so, what position are you in to be able to attack the green on that second drive? And we've seen some crazy rollaways. We've seen some skips. We've seen some really unfortunate things ultimately happen on this green. So we'll see how they can attack it. But it looks like they're going to be ready here in just a moment. Again, no holdups, no waits taking place out on the course. Actually, there's a few spectators, maybe some youngsters out on the course that are just getting out of the way. They're in the fairway, and I see them in another angle. Yeah, maybe they are chasing Pokemon. That does make sense.
That's right.
Now. Okay, I think Eagle's a big fan as well.
That's right.
Let's hope he doesn't get distracted and wander off at any point.
He is definitely a big fan. This is going to be DD3 out over the water for McMahon. This is a play for position away down the fairway. Huge spike forehand.
And when I speak of that position, that's unfortunately exactly what I mean. If you are pinched up against that I don't want to call it an embankment, against that kind of
concrete area.
Concreted area. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's for picnicking or lighting off fireworks. I'm not sure what they do there. But if you're pinched up against that, he's going to be out of position to attack the green from there, I'm guessing.
Michael Johansen's getting some good action on this roller, climbing up that hill. He's going to settle just in front of that swing set there. I think it's worth noting that right now, if our scores were to finish how they're sitting, McMahon and Väinö Mäkelä would be tied for 17th. And as it sits, 5 under is a 1043 rated round. So it's not a bad round whatsoever. I think, and that's a great shot by Väinö. Not a bad round whatsoever. In fact, over most of these players' ratings, McMahon excluded. But I think it's been so different because we've seen our day has been framed by 12 under to start the day.
Yeah.
Which is currently rated 1091 unofficially. So incredible stuff for Emerson Keith. This looks to be boss for Barsby, just needing that to get through. But, I mean, these gentlemen, let's say if they finish at 2 5 unders, 1 4 under, that would be 1036, and a 3 under, 1029. I mean, those aren't slouch scores. It's just that the level of competition is so high out here right now. Everybody in the top 10, all of the 6 unders or better, are sitting at 1050 unofficially rated right now and up. And there's a lot of those. Currently, 16 people sitting at 1050 or better on the day.
Yeah, so by all means, I hope everyone knows and understands that in no way are we disrespecting the efforts by these players, as they've been really solid. But maybe, as you said, opening the round, seeing those scores that were in the clubhouse, knowing that that is out in front, and then seeing the players kind of struggle through at least the first half when most of them were, just 1 or 2 under at, at the turn. That's what I think it was easy to compare against those scores. So we'll see if they can still finish out strong. I mean, 1040, 1050 golf, very, very impressive golf, and still sitting in the top 20 if some of these guys close out with pars or better, is some solid golf. Again, it's maybe just in the construct of how it was framed throughout the day, like you mentioned. So interesting perspective by yourself to recognize just that. So
that's the thing about this course is that you could shred if you find the right spots, but playing safe and collecting pars is not bad. Most of the time, that's going to put you in a really good spot. It just so happens that today, Emerson got 13 birdies and 1 bogey. Most of the time, 6 birdies and 1 bogey feels pretty good out here. But when it's the World Championship, what's the quote? Big time players make big time plays in big time games. This is our biggest time game, and some big time players are out to play. And this is a smooth line drive from Väinö. It's not going to trickle down the hill enough to get inside circle 1, but he is inside circle 2. And I've stood in the spot that he was just standing, and that is not an easy shot. Low ceiling all the way to the basket, and he's got some wind to contend with as well.
Let's hope that sits down for Barsby as it's tracking toward the water. And tough to tell if it for sure ultimately leaked in there or not. Just before he was about to throw, I was going to say that it's an interesting angle for Barsby to be taking the backhand here, because if he goes with the forehand and you throw it straight and it finishes and it has just a hyzer finish or it stables up, it's going to be tracking back up toward the hill or on the hillside. When you go with the backhand like he just did, it comes in flat, and if it gets any skip action whatsoever, it's tracking toward the water. So I wasn't about to second guess him, but I feel like maybe internally my intuition was right there. And unfortunately, if he's not in the water, he's at least very close and stressing himself out a little bit about it.
That's right. While McMahon looks at his tee shot here, or his second shot here, I think it's worth noting that women's leader Evelina Salonen, with her 7-under par today, unofficially is rated 1025 right now, 70 points over her current player rating of 955.
Nice.
So incredible stuff for Evelina.
And Eagle, on the other hand, trying to prove me dead wrong from what I was mentioning. It's tough to see exactly where that finished, but with him being, he wasn't quite as pinched up to that concrete as I thought that he was, but he still had somewhat of an awkward stance, and even he's unsure of how that finished for him. And Michael Johansen, oh no! Unbelievable.
About as rare as a unicorn.
Oh my
we
gosh.
have a forehand from Michael Johansen. That is absolutely the shape that fits the fairway and the green best, but it hits a tree and takes an unfortunate roll down to the left. He could be saved by the grass there, but he'll have to walk up just a few more feet to find out.
Oh my gosh. All I kept thinking is MJ threw the one forehand maybe I've ever seen him throw in a live broadcast before. He cans the putt on hole number 12, a 1 in 10,000 shot, and I think, okay, you can retire the forehand for the weekend. And then he goes with this one, and it looks like it may have got up and gotten away from him. That is Todd Lyon of the PDGA. He's one of the many, or the handful of PDGA marshals that is out here this week helping officiate. And we'll see if we can listen in. If Eric Oakley pops out of there,
the internet will explode.
Oh, and our sideline reporter, Dixon, assisting. And it looks like it's been found. Back to back? MJ, you simmer down. Word from the producer is if MJ cans this forehand putt from here, the stream shuts off and we call it a night. We cannot top that. All right, he moves to the backhand, although I would have loved to see another forehand.
That's a good play for Johansen. Not much more to do than just lay it under the basket at that point.
And now we'll get hopefully official confirmation if Eagle has found himself. Oh, and he also.
Meter relief off the rocks. Oh yeah. Yeah, meter off the rocks there.
So I can take it.
Yeah, from MJ confirms you inbound.
So McMahon is safe.
Start right here, so you can get your meter up. However much of a meter you want, getting that cabbage.
All right.
So we hear Johansen say you can take however much of a meter you want.
Which is a good clarification. I think you're saying
yes
that the rule states.
It sounds funny.
It does, but the rule states anytime you are out of bounds or near OB, you can take up to 1 meter away from it. You don't, I think a lot of people think you have to take that 1 full meter. You do not. If it gives you better positioning to only take, say, half a meter or a few feet, you're welcome to do so. You don't have to take the full 1 meter.
This would be McMahon for 6 under.
Oh, sit.
That's just short. So he's going to settle outside the top 10 after day 1. 7 shots off of the lead set by Emerson Keith.
Go ahead and call it that Väinö is going to lay up here, Robert.
I would never. I've learned my lesson.
Väinö could take the outright lead here of the card.
And that's just low as well. The tree that's to the left of Väinö's lie on the left side of our screen is a little bit lower ceiling than it looks on the screen. And then with a runaway green, just a difficult putt to run. Barsby's disc was out of bounds after the backhand approach. He's going to be right on the edge of circle 1, putting for his par 4.
Get it.
Oh, just low for Barsby. He's going to fall back to 3 under par on the day. As of right now, unofficially rated 1029. McMahon is in for par. Väinö is in for par. We'll have par from Johansen, and then bogey for Barsby is going to close out his day. 3 under par 60 for the defending champ.
They're going to move up and count their scorecard to officially get them submitted and turned into Tournament Central as we're approaching 5:30 Central Time. So looking like that round took exactly 3 hours. Now, that's a little bit on the shorter side.
Yeah.
And that definitely has something to do with the small buffer that we see among the top few cards, that buffer that's built in just a little bit. Things moved quite smoothly today. Of course, no waiting or holdups here on the card. And a 3 hour, it may have felt like a few more hours for those gentlemen out there. But thank you guys so much for joining us as we're going to take a quick look at the leaderboard that we've been referencing throughout the day. Tomorrow, what you will see from one of the post-production crews on the MPO 1 card, I believe Joe Mez will be covering them. You're going to see Emerson Keith, Kevin Jones, James Conrad, and Paul McBeth, all 4 players that had shot double digits under par today. Chris Clemens, Philo Brathwaite, Austin Hannum, and Anthony Barella will be on that chase card, which I believe is covered by Central Coast Disc Golf. Thanks for all the hard work out there. I think they're also covering the FPO lead card.
That's right, yeah.
And then we're seeing in the top few spots, if I go over and scroll down, also, wow, on that third card, I see, if I'm looking at it correctly, I see Nate Sexton, Calvin Heimberg, Dana Vici, and Steve Rico. And it's not going to be quite in that order because of it may actually be someone in that. Steve Rico getting the nod there as they ultimately get all adjusted due to his low PDGA number. Steve Rico has to have one of the lowest PDGA numbers in the field at 4666. So Dave Greenwell, quick shout out, playing in his 38th World Championships.
Wow.
How many ever Pro Worlds that there have been?
That's how
Dave's
many he's
been
played
at
in.
all of them. And I believe that number is 38. He just won the 55 and older division a few weeks ago in the Pro Masters Worlds. But he's here competing in his 38th Open World Championships. So very impressive for Dave Greenwell over there with Team Prodigy. So, Robert, any parting shots or final words before I let you go? And you'll be rejoining me in 2 days for more MPO coverage. But anything you'd like to say out there?
No, we're good to go. Just thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is day one of pretty much a marathon for our competitors this week. We're going to see a couple of new names on our lead card tomorrow. Emerson Keith standing out as someone who you may not have seen play before, but get familiar with him. He is winning all over the place and putting together some incredible rounds lately. And we're just excited to see how everything shakes out as we move into the woods at Northwood tomorrow.
Yeah, and speaking of Emerson Keith, I know I mentioned it in the show. Him and his wife are expecting their first child in a couple of weeks, but he did tell us a few days ago, he said, if I'm sitting in a top 5 position as the week rolls on and I get that phone call saying that our firstborn is on the way, he said, we've talked about it, and I may just stay and play it out rather than trying to rush back to Texas. So let's see how that plays out for Emerson Keith.
We'll hope he doesn't have to make that decision.
Yeah, exactly. But obviously just an awesome opening performance. Quickly, I want to touch on what we're going to see on the FPO side tomorrow. We mentioned a little earlier, Evelina Salonen with a great opening round. She sits at 7 under. She is 6 clear of the 3 women sitting in second, including Valerie Mundahano, Katrina Allen, and Rebecca Cox.
You have that.
I apologize. Let me correctly sort that. Thank you. Erica Stinchcomb coming in that 4th place position. I apologize. We'll see all 4 of those women tomorrow morning as we're going to be here live giving you the broadcast. You will be replaced by Hannah Macbeth.
Yeah. I'm just finding this out. You guys know
for tomorrow morning.
I'm just kidding. I'm super excited for Hannah to cover the FPO with you guys. She always brings good insight to the FPO game. I'll be out there on the course watching the ladies compete.
Maybe we'll see what you have to say. Well, I want to send thanks to everyone that tuned in and watched, like, shared, subscribed. Please do that all week long. We appreciate all of the Super Chat contributors, along with all the sponsors of both our broadcast and of the event. And we wouldn't have all of this action if it weren't for the PDGA and all the supporters. Also, our cameramen out there hustling around, Gary to the O, Ryan Pilcher, Joey Tamale, Dixon Jowers giving us the inside scoop from out on the course, Johnny V back at the controls. For Robert McCall and Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, thank you guys for joining us for round number 1. We'll see you tonight for the podcast and tomorrow morning for round 2 of the FPO. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smash Box.
SmashBoxxTV would like to thank the following sponsors: the PDGA, Infinite Discs, Discraft, the DGA, Prodigy Discs, the City of Peoria, and all of these other generous sponsors.